There we go. Hello, hello. If you can see and or hear us, preferably both, do let us know. Hopefully everything is working today. We are back for another episode. Lord, this week is so busy. This week is so busy. Okay, I see we're good on Twitch. If anyone on YouTube can confirm and or deny, that would be lovely and good. Oh, thank you, Hawk. Good old Hawk. Awesome. Always wonderfully dependable Hawk. But yeah, so we're just going to kind of faff about for a minute while we're letting people kind of get the alerts and start making their way on in here. But as you can see, awesome. I am joined by a wonderful new face over on this side.
It's the other side. Wait, it's this.
Yeah, it might be flipped.
Wait, am I flipped or are you flipped?
I am flipped. No, this is. Yeah. Well, okay, it doesn't matter.
So are you on this side or this side?
So this is my. I'm on the first one, whatever the first one you did was. I am joined by a good friend of mine, actually, who I've known for a good little while. But this is NornQueenAlexis. Alexis, if you want to kind of introduce yourself to all the peeps out there, and we'll probably do another introduction in a little bit. But we can go ahead and do a practice run now.
Alrighty, so what's up, party people? My name is NornQueenAlexis. I am an occasional YouTuber here in Iceland, and I play way too much Warhammer and build way too much Warhammer, and I tend to just have like random bits and bobs around me. Like right now, I guess it's Warhammer the Old World that's around me. I'm always working on new projects, new armies, and playing games. In fact, over the weekend, I did the Icehammer GT, came in 8th place out of 34 people, which was pretty good. I was running Space Wolves.
The extreme population of Iceland there.
Hey.
Coming out in spades.
34 out of GT is still good. We're still like...
Yeah, that's great. It's good.
That's good.
It's like a notable percentage.
Yeah, pretty much. But Team Iceland is now heading to the London GT.
Oh,
and
wow.
Unfortunately, I couldn't go this year. But I'm so excited for them. I lent out a few models to go there and my dice tray, which was really funny because I have a dice tray and all the measurement sticks you could imagine, everything you need for a tournament real quick. And I lent it to my buddy so that he can go and play. And yeah. Also, my Space Wolves are not wolves. I see one of the comments saying Space Wolves in Iceland. My Space Wolves are actually on Seraphon, so it's a Space Wolf Lizardman army.
Perfect. Space dinosaurs are always superior.
How is that not a thing?
I don't know. GW just hates money. They hate money.
They really do.
And y'all let me know if the audio levels are good. Like if I need to turn Alexis up or me down, y'all just let me know and I can make those adjustments. Should we watch Man Like Peg says it's wherever you prefer. I think with the way the YouTube stuff is working, it's generally better for the live stuff to watch on like the core channels, and then if you want to catch the VOD, it's better to watch it on the Lorebeards channel. But we're nearly to the threshold for enough hours watched, which will be nice because once we can like kind of monetize everything, then we can stop doing the really awkward thing of like having to stream it to multiple places at once. Audio levels are perfect. Woohoo! That's great. But
I saw something about your sexy Saurus boys.
Yes. Listen. I have a. We'll get into that. Okay. That's a super chat. We'll do that later. we'll get into that.
But I do want to talk about this really quickly. I bought an entire Seraphon Lizardman Old World army because I can't stand the AOS tabletop game. I do not like its rule system, but I love all of its models. I absolutely love all of its models. But Old World, on the other hand, I absolutely love the rule set. And now I get to play lizards in that. And I'm really, really happy. And I bought an entire old Lizardman army with models I don't even recognize. And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah, I need to get my old World one out because Old World I've generally played Beastmen But I need to try out the updated Lizardmen rules because I haven't played the updated rule set that the community did. That seems pretty well accepted.
It very much is very good. Slaanesh demons so far are doing excellent.
That is important. That is good.
Yeah. That's how I know a game is fun. If Slaanesh demons are winning, I'm happy.
That's the barometer test for.
Yeah,
it's a good game.
I have absolutely no bias written on my arms at all.
Yeah, he has none at all. But okay, good. Everyone can hear us. Everything's looking pretty good. So why don't we go ahead and do just the first couple of super chat little things that came in, and then we can get started on today's topic, which we're going to be yapping quite a bit about rules in tabletop and how they reflect or don't the lore of their respective settings, and why that's sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing.
People are going to be so mad at me when I tell them how
Good. Is it really a Lorebeards episode if people aren't getting aghast at the comments being made?
Okay, there might be a witch hunt for me after this.
Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It can't be worse than when me and Andy just insert random Yowie and Yuri relationships into everything we talk about.
Look,
Darius,
every setting is better with Yowie.
I know, it's true. Darius, thanks for becoming a member. Biofoot asks, who are the fishmen of 40K?
Okay, so there actually is. There's two. All right.
Huh?
There is the Shaharadan, which are a human-fish hybrid that are deemed demi-human, but they look like weird shark creature things that wear bubble helmets, and they're only found in Rogue Trader and one Dark Heresy book. And
when you say demi-human, does that mean they're accepted?
They are hunted but accepted.
Oh,
so it's
that's unfortunate.
Keep in mind, it is the Imperium after all. They're less accepted than the Shahar. They're less accepted than the Ogren, but the Ogren are super useful. These guys are just not useful and just stupid.
I relate so much.
But I would say that the Rat Ghoul or the Hrud are the the Hrud are more like the Skaven of the 40K universe. I would say that's their equivalent if you go by clan poison guys. I don't know their names.
Pestilence or Scryer?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Disease poison or throwing poison gas?
Poisoning entire time streams to the point of messing people up on a cosmic level.
Okay, that's probably just Skaven in general then.
Yeah. The other one, the fishmen. It is if you want to go by the whole joke, it is the Tau because they are fish hooved creature demon-ish kind of things. I actually do like that they had originally they had 3 fingers and they were hooved and blue and really, really creepy looking. And then people were just put tits on that. And then Tau lost all of their spookiness.
That is the classic of, well, how can I tell if one's a girl?
Well, yeah. There is also things in Necromunda that are literal fish people. It's one of the houses is they worship a Cthulhu monster that exists on Necromunda, but it's definitely not Cthulhu. It's totally just a nod at Cthulhu because GW is not original at all, except with the Skaven, which is weird.
And it's a truly bizarre.
Yeah,
thing.
They nailed one thing.
Well, yeah,
correct,
one guy.
That's ours.
I got it. Good. Okay, so you got plenty of fisherman options there. Michael says, "Do a Zoats stream, please." Also, love what you guys do.
I got you. Hang on.
Man, she's getting her Zoats. She's getting her Zoats. We will definitely do a Zoats stream. This is gonna come up.
And I prepared.
Why were you prepared for Zoats?
Zoat.
Oh, nice. You got the Blackstone Fortress one? Is that what he's from?
Yes, this is the Blackstone Fortress one, which is a nod at the merchant from Resident Evil, because when you meet him in the story, he opens his cloak and says, "What are you buying?" And I love him.
So
but not only do I have this Zoat, I have the Blood Bowl Zoat, and I have the Fantasy Zoat. I love Zoats.
I do too. I was really, really happy when Total War made them into like a regular unit that you could just have, which was super nice, because we're still waiting for like a really good new fantasy sculpt for them. Like, because we got the Blood Bowl one. The Blood Bowl one looks great. Like the Blood Bowl one looks fantastic. He's a really fun star player, but you can like, all you have to do is like kit bash a hammer in his hands and he's a fantasy model. Like, he's good to go.
Yeah. I'm just gonna put him off to the side instead of getting up, but I was so ready for that. I was like right there. I was like, Zoat.
There you go. Sotek's sexy source. Okay, listen. All I'm saying is that GW has gone out of their way when they make certain like model refreshes to make some of them unnecessarily sexy, and the Saurus are a good example of that. If you look at old Saurus, they're just kind of these like hunched over reptile men things, and then oh god, I love the Agrodon minis. And then when they redid the Saurus, they made them like chiseled, like they have like these really over the top pronounced ab muscles and everything. It's like they're sexy now. I don't know what you want me to say. Whoever made them was someone that's like, no, our Saurus need to have appeal. They can't just be
the weird
monsters.
Thing about this Saurus having muscle there is that there is no lizard ever that would have muscle like that, and they're just like, what if we sexualize the lizardmen? Yeah,
the old ones were like, they need to be models though. Like they gotta like, how will people know they're following the great plan if they're not chiseled?
Look, all I'm saying is, how are these skinks supposed to grade their cheese? Just saying.
Yeah. That's the true role of the Saurus. Unfortunately, it's been lost to time. Gelt and Skrok / Forever. Beautiful couple. Oh yeah, who doesn't love their war criminal metal wizards with their horrifying clan pestilent plague lords? Wonderful. It writes itself. It writes itself. And this people don't forget the self intro. Well, okay, so technically I forgot the self intro, but we'll do intros again here in just a moment. Because I think pretty much a good amount of people have shown up that we can actually start getting started. God damn it. Someone just sent me a stupid meme. Hold on. Every once in a while, if we're having a chill stream, I can pull them up on screen. And this is a rare exception that I will make. I thank you, and also I hate you, Hammond, for making this. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
why do they have belly buttons?
They shouldn't. They really shouldn't.
Like, why does it have a belly button?
At least they don't have nipples this time. Did you see when that happened?
Oh my god. Okay, when
there's the Underworld Warband art had nipples.
There is nipple controversy in Warhammer 40k. They took away.
Oh, sorry, I said Hammond. Hawk made that. I don't know why I said Hammond. My brain just like automatically blamed Hammond for everything. Sorry, go ahead.
There is nipple controversy in Warhammer 40k. They took away the nipples from the Golden Boys. Oh my god, why am I drawing a blank at the name? The Sanguinary Guard. And then they refreshed the every other Space Marine chapter, and the Blood Angels look terrible by comparison. Their characters look really good.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously good, but everything else looks just awful. It looks like the most generic. Like it looks like somebody didn't know what a Stormcast Eternal was and just like was like Stormcast Eternal with no glory with a jump pack.
So you would agree with Zarask's comment then?
Yes.
We need our nipples and wings. How can we live without them?
Look, I like GW going in the way of moving the miniature game, especially of Warhammer, more towards a tournament setting. I like that as because I could break it down mathematically, and I really like that. But I also like ridiculously cool looking miniatures. Like I like just give the Sanguinary Guard like wings that go up instead of wings that go out, so that they can stand next to each other, and I am happy. Give them
Or they could have
Give
done
them the nipples.
like, especially when they're doing like models that are kind of up in the air. Like, I really like what they've done with a lot of the AOS flying models, where it's just like a little piece of terrain holds them up, and then they're able to kind of be up and have big wings out behind them, and it's fine. It works great.
I wish they got that with the Sisters of Battle, because the Zephyrim and the Seraphim are both on the little peg that connects to their backpack, which then connects to their body. And if you look at them the wrong way, one, they're offended, two, they're broken. And it's the same with the not the Scatros. What are they called for the AdMech? The Leonardo da Vinci wing guys.
I have no idea.
They are awful miniatures. They are amazing, and they're really good tabletop wise. But oh my god,
yeah, I much prefer the modern decisions that go into how they make flying models compared to the old ones. I don't miss using flight stands. I don't miss it at all.
It also makes sense because typically these models are not actually flying the entire time. They're running and gliding on near the ground.
Yeah.
Because they're not like all the way up in the stratosphere. They're like maybe 4 or 5 meters up at best.
Yeah, I will never forget the old days when you'd have like a metal slan that weighs enough that you could like bludgeon someone to death with it, and you just have to hold it up on one flight stand because it's like, this is idiotic and terrible, and I hate it.
The metal land speeder. I have one of them. I have a metal bar, and it's welded onto a metal base.
Yeah, that's what smart people did. I think all of my old metal slan, the plastic piece of the flight stand is broken inside the hole of every single one of them.
Yep. Absolutely love it. It is fantastic. I have I was playing a big game this past 2 days, and somebody picked up my Hive Tyrant because they were really confused by it. They're like, "What the hell?" And they picked up my Hive Tyrant, and my Hive Tyrant's a metal because I've been playing the game since 4th edition, late 4th. They picked it up, and they're just like, "What? This is a metal model?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's several in this army."
That's how you show off veteran status these days. Mornington Crescent, the navel is where the slan gaze. It is. It truly, clearly the slan put it there for aesthetic reasons.
Look, they knew that Slaanesh was going to take over in the end times, and they had to distract Slaanesh.
Yeah, there has to be. Yeah, the keepers of secrets and the demonette's gaze has to be guided somewhere. The gaze. Ricky Chapman. Sotek, you know what we must ask? Oh dear. If you were transported into Warhammer Fantasy, so this is for you, Alexis. I've been asked this question before. Okay. If you were transported into Warhammer Fantasy, what would you do? We ran a Wolfram campaign. Yeah, I mean, let's assume you last long enough to make some decisions. Our group ran a Wolfram session that had to eat a dark elf. We almost lost one of our legs to an Ungor, and then we stabbed an Empire explorer we came across.
Okay, so I have to preface this really quickly.
And this does come with the caveat that you are teleported to a relatively equivalent location to your real world location.
Oh, fuck, I'm in Norska?
Yeah, so you'd start in Norska.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I'm dead.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair. Okay,
but let's just say I got to somewhere safer, somewhere in the Empire. Just for safety.
Aarongrad. Let's say you make it to Aarongrad.
And let's assume that I know the languages and I can speak the language.
Right.
Okay. I think best case scenario, I'm dead in a week. And worst case scenario, I'm dead in like a few months and forced into slavery.
That's fair.
But jokes aside, I would probably just be a con artist. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'd just be ripping people off.
That's fair. That's a different answer than I've heard before, so that's very fair.
Because, like, I'm just going to be like, look at this deck of cards. I can figure out a couple of card tricks, trick them with that, or do the ball cup gag, or I'd probably just be making people clothing because I can do that, or making shields. I could actually do that. That is okay. So
you have some actual practical skills that would allow you to survive in society. Whereas I'm
funny enough, useless. I don't know if this can see it. But I'm actually a skilled fighter too, so
yeah. I mean, you might just get picked up.
I'm gonna die.
You could just get picked up by a Norscan tribe and just like become a part of the tribe.
What's really funny is I practice Viking reenactment and fighting, so I could probably just pretend and just go along with
just
them.
blend in. Yeah, just blend in. Just like try and get with one of the southern not as chaosy tribes, then you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, then last one before we get into today's topic from Donovan. Speaking of lore versus rules, in 40k lore, would it be possible for a dreadnought with a plasma cannon to blow up 2 Bane blades and disable a third in a single shot? Because that's what happened in a game I played back in like 2009.
Oh my god. Okay, so
I'll let you deal with that. I'm staying out of that.
Okay, so let me fix this really quickly. Okay, that was bugging me because like I don't like when the top of my head is cut off.
That's fair. I think most people could concur with that statement.
Okay, so assuming GW knows how to fire an actual ball of plasma, which I've talked to a lot of the writers about this, and the consensus is that the ball of plasma is surrounded by an electrical field that extends from the gun itself and hurls the plasma, which then erupts in one zone. A ball of plasma exploding is going to kill not only the tank next to it, the tank next to it. It's going to kill everything within like a mile because it's a ball of plasma.
Well, there you go. Sounds like it was a fairly accurate roll then.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Because GW shoots plasma very slowly, and plasma, while it can go slow, it could actually go extremely fast also. It could freeze stuff. It depends what they want the plasma to do. I always assume that GW uses a plasma that doesn't explode as much, so it like feeds in on itself. So the electromagnetic field around it actually pulls the plasma in first, making it just slightly safer. But then again, it is GW. They don't believe in it is Warhammer. They don't believe in guardrails or safety procedures or anything like that. So it could be both.
Yeah, whatever happens, happens.
And the one thing about Warhammer 40k lore, especially versus fantasy lore, the writing is inconsistent, right?
Right.
You would agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Warhammer 40k lore is basically which writer decides to make things up at the time.
I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. Rolled 5 6s and a 5 in a row. I mean, hey, when you roll hot, you roll hot. Things happen. So with that, I think we can actually go ahead and get into today. So just because I'm supposed to do this and I keep forgetting, but I'm going to do it now. If you happen to be joining us for the first time and are just listening in and for somehow have stumbled in and this is your first Lorebeards, I am Loremaster of Sotek, one of the regular co-hosts and founder of the Lorebeards podcast. And I am joined today by the wonderful, wonderful NornQueenAlexis, who, even though she's already done it, is going to get to introduce herself again one more time just to be safe, and then we're going to hop into it. I don't know, you can mix it up a little this time. Include a different fun fact.
Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis. I own 19 Warhammer armies, 3 of which are over 10,000 points. My biggest army is
She doesn't have a problem. She doesn't have a problem.
My army is 25,000 points.
That's too many.
My basement is almost full.
It's like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen that old movie about the kid that has like all the toys that come to life and like do stuff in their house or whatever. Yeah, it's like in yours it would be like actual lore accurate sized armies like doing battle in the part of the halls. Is 10,000 points a lot? Yes.
It's 5 times the average size game.
Yeah. It is a significant, it's one of those situations where if there was a fire, that the house is less important to save than the minis, because the minis are probably worth more.
I actually, while I was in the US, my Warhammer collection was insured and valued higher than my home and my car.
I believe it. It.
Keep in mind I was renting at the time, so yeah.
All right. And today we're going to be doing something actually pretty fun. When we talked about having Alexis on the show, we were kicking around a few ideas, and she had a frankly genius suggestion of talking about how the rules interact with the lore of the setting. Because when a lot of people come into playing various Warhammer games, most people, not all, but most people usually discover or find the lore first and then make their way eventually to the tabletop game. And so sometimes there's an expectation that the lore will impact how playing the game feels and how the rules work and everything, which sometimes is true, sometimes is a little less true. And today we're going to be talking about our experiences with times that GW has deliberately tried to make the rules lore accurate, or times that they've kind of avoided it, and what have been the consequences of both, because they've done both and both have had severe consequences.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
So where do you want to start?
I think I have to get this right out of the gate. Space Marines. Right off the bat. Transhuman super soldiers, where the codexes all tell you about all of these different organs that they have. I think there's like 19 or 20 at this point, with Belisarius Call adding new organs that do whatever the plot demands.
Right. So they're like immune to poison attacks. They spit acid, right? Like
they're not immune to poison. They're highly resistant.
Oh, okay.
Which is important because...
Is that reflected in the rules, though?
Absolutely not. They can also eat somebody's brain and gain all of their knowledge. Oh. They can eat anything and gain sustenance from it. Their backpack is a thermonuclear generator, which does nothing.
Nice.
They can spit acid. They can bite through metal. They can lift over 10 to... I think the heaviest that Space Marine has moved anything is Captain Titus in Space Marine 2, where he moved 100-ton warhead. Don't quote me on that, but it was significantly super heavy. We've seen Space Titus. Marines lift Chimera. No, a Space Marine has lifted a Rhino. An Ogryn has pulled an entire Chimera. And Space Marines and Ogrins are similar in stats. So a Space Marine should be able to do that. We know that Space Marines can run at 70 miles per hour. I don't know the equivalent of that for smarter people. We're Americans.
Yeah, numbers. Listen, like science, it's never been our strong suit here. All right.
Their armor is thick enough. It's actually not that thick. I did a whole video on this as how a 50 cal would just blow right through a Space Marine and kill them. But their armor is pretty thick. There's smaller spots on it, obviously, like the neck, the joints, behind the knees, where all of your major intestines are. You know, that's just kind of
an important spot
armor for some reason. But they have the super thick armor, and some of them even carry around the Crux Terminatus on their shoulder pad, which is a part of the Emperor's armor, which then grants them an invulnerable save that has never come up in any book ever. It has never
Those
worked.
Are my favorite kinds.
They can wear a Rosarius, which is another piece of war gear. Now, this one has come up, but only for Sisters of Battle. But Space Marines can get them too. Where they can wear this necklace that is the Eye of Malkador or the Inquisitorial Seal, and it grants a 4-up invulnerable save, except the Space Marines. Unless
Malkador's like, nah, I ain't saving them. Nah.
Yeah, unless they're a unique character or special, they get that. And it's reflected as a 4-up info save. They're supposed to be super tough humans that can tank like all of this damage, and then you read the books and they die in droves. Space Marines die by the millions. And I'm not kidding. Read the Heresy series. In all 60 books, Space Marines barely survive a single bolt round. And a bolter has AP 0.
So, all right. So with the understood mess that there's that grand scale of like when Space Marines need to die dramatically, they die like
they just die.
Yeah, they go down like fleas before a flamethrower. Yep. And then we've got our video game character versions that are nigh unstoppable super demigods.
Yep.
How would you say that the tabletop is a reflection of these experiences? Which side would you say the tabletop reinforces?
Okay, so I've had 2 experiences with this. In a recent tournament, this wasn't the GT I just participated in, LAWhammer. This was a tournament at Nexus, our local game store. We had about 20-something people in it, and I took, I think, 3rd place. I had one wolf priest tank an entire AdMech army by himself. His entire unit was dead at the point. He made 17 consecutive 4-up invulnerable saves. He really felt like a Space Marine right then and there.
It's like, we didn't realize that he was actually the lead character of a Black Library book.
Yes. But I've also had instances where I run 10 Terminators with my Space Wolves because I try to make Terminators work. They're not good. Terminators are bad unless you're running Lysander. But 40k people will understand that. But I've had Terminators that died in 1 hit. And it's like, cool, this is a super elite dude that's supposed to be hitting things really easily. And I kind of just sucked and died.
So just for my clarification, Terminators, are they survivors from the heresy? Or are they?
No, they are the elite of the elite. They are the first company. They are super veterans.
Right. It's particularly chafing them when like one of them gets like some Termagant runs up and just
shot and killed by a Termagant, or gets spore mined.
Yeah,
spore mined I think is the worst because it's poison. So it's just like they're supposed to be immune to this, and he just dies. My environmentally sealed suit died to poison.
Yeah. So if we're taking it in that case of that, the Space Marines are often showcased having access to a significant number of abilities and traits that they just don't have in the tabletop. Like, don't even have them as upgrades, whatever, and all that stuff. Because to put it frank, for anyone that's not familiar, that the Space Marines are kind of one of the anchor points of 40k tabletop as far as like
they are the balancing point of Warhammer.
Yeah, because they're
everything is compared to an intercessor now.
Yeah, they're mostly like force across the board out of like the 1 to 10 scale. And like, in your opinion, how does that hold up versus like if you were talking to someone about the lore and they were going to be approaching the table for the first time, how would you try and manage their expectations of, I've been reading books about Space Marines and now I'm about to play with Space Marines against like an Orc or a Tyranid player? Are you what are you going to say to them as far as if they're like, I can't wait to have the experience of playing as Space Marines on tabletop? What it's going to be like? Okay, well, hold up. Like, what's your hold up comment?
I'm going to be like, all right, first off, completely different genres. One is a male power fantasy. One is a tabletop game. So you need to chill for a second. But I try to explain to them that there is a balancing mechanic to the tabletop game versus the power fantasy that is like Space Marine and Bolt Gun. And to a lesser extent, Mechanicus, Necromunda, and Necromunda Hired Gun specifically. Where those games make you like the hero, where in the tabletop game, I would say that it's more akin to the original lore, which is that no one is to be remembered. You are going to die, and it's going to be brutal. I think it both works with the lore and against the lore. Like, I could run something like Titus on the tabletop, and he is just awful. He is actually like a terrible character, which is hilarious because he has the lieutenant keyword, but not the lieutenant rule. So he's just bad. He's just arguably the worst lieutenant in the game right now.
Great.
Which sucks.
All I'm saying is that when I played Titus, I deliberately had him die in the intro. So, I mean, can't be that good.
But the whole thing with Warhammer is it does need to be balanced, and I do try to emphasize this with people, but there are some things that I just do not agree with. Like, how is an orc naked tougher than a Space Marine? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that's always that interesting interaction between like toughness and armor of like, how hard it should be to deal damage to something, and then like the armor blocking or checking it. But for orcs, they're just like, our skin is that ceramite armor. Nah, I got orc skin, man.
Yeah. And a lot of people will say that like armor save is like the bulkiness of your armor, but the bulkiness of your armor is also your toughness. But then why are Sisters of Battle toughness 3 with a 3-up save when the caster can they can't get a 3+ save anymore, but they can be toughness 3 with a 4-up save, 3-up in the in cover. So it's like flak armor and carp and hardened power armor are the same toughness. That doesn't make sense. But then you have a Tau battlesuit, which is now toughness 6 with a 3-up armor save. And it's like, okay, so that battlesuit is tougher. The guy inside it is squishy. So the armor itself should up our toughness, but power armor doesn't up our toughness because that would mean that they would have to rebalance Inquisitors, Sisters of Battle, Sisters of Silence. And yeah, and Space Marines should just be naturally toughness 5. That is just an opinion of mine. Mathematically, it does not make sense, but that is an opinion of mine. And I will stand to that. I think orcs should be as strong as Space Marines, not stronger. Orcs are both stronger and tougher than Space Marines, and it bugs the crap out of me because in the first game you just blaze through like entire walls.
Yeah, tech priests, we be dead hard. Yeah, they just be dead hard.
And go ahead.
No. It's always that interesting thing of that, like there's not consistent there's not a consistent logic behind, like you can tell that when GW's designing units, they're usually going based on like more of a vibe as opposed to like applying a similar logic of that. You bring up a great point of that. Sometimes when a unit is very heavily armored, that armor is incorporated into their toughness because it's like, oh, well, they'd be really, really hard to wound because they have all this armor. But in other times, it's treated completely different of, oh, well, their armor is going to be represented by the actual armor save. But it's a different, it like depends on like how big they are, like the actual, like how large the mini itself is.
Yep. Although
like,
sometimes that doesn't even factor in because Logan Grimnar, who is on the biggest character base in the game currently, that is like just the, single infantry character, he's only toughness 5. And he's for no reason. He also has a Stormbolter with no AP.
Yeah, one of the things. Okay, so I guess a good question then would be: is there something in, or if you had to point at something in 40K that you think is a good representation of like all of its lore attributes
Demons
have been? Oh, any particular examples?
Demons. Demonic Incursion, which is one of their detachments, allows demons to teleport in within 6 inches so long as they're in the Shadow of Chaos. The Shadow of Chaos is literal, like, think of it like a warp storm going across the field. If you're within the Shadow of Chaos, you're going to appear 6 inches away because demons are just spawning in. Okay? And the bigger demons have a Shadow of Chaos around them, which I really like, and they can spawn each other in off of each other. I think demons in every single game system have always been not only absolutely necessary, but have always fit fluffy. And they balanced fluff with like tabletop rules and made them very, very good. Except for my girl Slanesh, she got done dirty this edition, and she was like a 75% win rate, and then they just nerfed her into the ground.
That does. Yeah,
she was a little bit too powerful.
That do happen sometimes. GW will make something hilariously busted, and then the next rule update, they'll come around and be like, swing the nerf hammer hard.
When it comes to Warhammer 40K, the playtesters for Warhammer are the ones that tell GW to change the rules, not the other way around, which is cool. GW does actively try their best to balance the game, and they are doing a fantastic job right now. Except with Imperial agents, but they're supposed to be taken as allies and not an actual force, but that's a whole nother tirade.
Girl boss too close to the sun, she did. She did. And she did get burned. Man Like Pegasus asked just a quick question of, has Alexis ever played Darktide? Curious on her
Yes.
thoughts on how the power scaling works in that game.
Oh my god, it's hilariously bad.
There you go.
Okay, all right. So let me put it this way.
Granted, difficulty modifiers do matter a bit, but
I'm sorry when I start running around saying start resisting because the game is too easy. But let me put it this way. In Warhammer 40k, this is the one part where demons don't fit with their lore. A single demon in Warhammer 40k is enough to exterminate an entire planet because of how dangerous they are. Demons in Warhammer, I do believe, are more dangerous than demons in fantasy, even though they are the exact same demon and the exact same dimension. But it's more like split personality syndrome in that case, where like Bellacork will talk about times that he's done stuff in fantasy and just been like, yeah. And then the Dark Angels will just be like, what the hell is going on? Just shoot him.
I feel like that's the case of the writer being like, I don't have enough 40k material for this guy to talk about because he doesn't really do anything in 40k. So he has to bring up fantasy.
1000% is. But so demons in Warhammer are one of the coolest and most well-written, and GW writing demons is actually just incredible. I think they're two armies that they have nailed as their own. Like absolutely their own, with inspiration for the demons, but then they made them their own. I will say that. But demons and Skaven are GW's like babies. The demons of Warhammer 40k operate in a way that they occupy space using quantum physics, and I'm not joking. Their energy can occupy real space until it's disrupted enough that it gets pulled back to the warp. And I think that's super cool. But what demons do is when they get into your mind, like even thinking about a demon is enough. There's my cat. But even thinking about a demon is enough for you to get possessed by a demon, which means that you are now the relay for both zones. And that can actually spread into your culture and everything that you do. And then eventually you'll start a chaos cult without ever intending it. The best intentions are the damnation of entire planets. It's why salamanders represent false hope in Warhammer and are still like super space fascists. But demons, like just seeing somebody that is possessed is enough to get you possessed unless your mind is stronger than that demon. So do I think Darktide is balanced? It depends how actively those guys are mind wiped. I assume like they wouldn't show it after each and every single mission, but each time that they go down there, what you're seeing is probably what they believe they did, and that's what you're playing through. And they've just been mind wiped, and that has just been inserted into their brain by their psyker, which is a thing that happens in Warhammer, and it makes you a better veteran. But the power of belief in Warhammer 40k versus fantasy, Warhammer 40k uses the power of belief like crazy. If you believe you're stronger than a demon, you could beat it. And this is kind of shown on the tabletop with like Oath of Moments and things like that, where, you know, Space Marines are like, I'm going to kill that thing. And the Space Marines are like, yeah, and then goes and kills it. But Darktide, when it comes to like how they treat the Nurgle infestation on a hive world, is like, oh yeah, the people got infected, but we just keep sending people back and forth, and yeah, they seem fine.
It'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get caught up a couple super chats thing, and then I have some we're gonna talk about some rules here. Surrogate Gaia. I always wondered how important magic/relic items were in the setting itself. Some items should probably be quite a big deal, but aren't mentioned outside of the item list. Are there any examples of the contrary?
Oh my god. Okay, I got three that I love. One, relics / magic items in Warhammer 40k represent, again, that power of belief. If you believe you're going into battle with like a hero's weapon and you are living up to the expectations of that hero, that thing does give you strength. It's basically your soul juicing up your body so that you can do heroic things with it. And that represents like your belief in killing demons or other monsters. And it is an actual thing that's in real life. It's like if you're given a weapon that is used by a very skilled fighter and you're told that you will fight better with this and you actually believe them, you will start becoming a better fighter because it's a placebo effect. But in Warhammer, placebo effects are, well, not covered by your health insurance. And you just have to believe in yourself. But there are 3 items that I absolutely love when it comes to this. One is the thinking cap of it. Spoilers, they're all orc items. One is the thinking
as they
cap.
should be. Yep.
The thinking cap is a hat that a mech wore and died, but he wore it and he was real big smart. So the other mech picked it up and put it on his head and became smarter. It literally affected him. And in the tabletop game, that reflects him being able to get rerolls, which is kind of cool. The other one is the lucky stick. Again, an orc item. This stick allows you to reroll an armor save. And it's because an orc once picked up something and deflected a blade with it, and thus the stick was invincible.
As you do.
And the other is an item that is not in Warhammer's tabletop game, but is absolutely amazing. And it is the bucket. It is just a plain bucket. I'm not joking. It is just a bucket. Just a metal bucket. The orcs, this was in, oh my God, I'm blanking on the name. It's an orc novel. It's told from the perspective of the orcs. It has Taka in it. I'm drawing such a blank at the name of it right now.
I'm hoping someone in chat will pick it up because I have no idea.
Oh my God. I know Victor knows it, and it's bugging me. But this orc can explain things in and outside the universe that he should not know. And it's basically like his knowledge is actually the reader's knowledge, is the joke, but the orcs around him don't understand it, so he dumbs it down for the orcs around him, and that makes it hilarious. Like, he explains that the psychic waves of this psyker is so powerful that it's actually disrupting your synapses in your brain. Brutal and cunning. Thank you.
I like how he could have typed it in chat
instead appeared.
Yes.
But he's explaining how all of this magic is working and how it's disrupting the wall around him. And the orc doesn't understand it. And he just goes, put this bucket on your head. And he puts the bucket on his head and becomes completely immune to the psychic powers.
Well, so in fantasy terms, it would be a lead bucket if it's blocking magic.
Yeah.
So this is actually a really good question that
and then the person called it. You got it right. I see.
Oh yeah, you were. See, I thought you were just making a comment about brutal cunning. I didn't realize that was the name of the book.
I wasn't reading the chat at the time. Sorry. If I saw that, it would have been so much easier.
Yeah, I'll say that for fantasy, fantasy has a really interesting history when it comes to how the lore treats magic items, because of that different authors have had different feelings about how magical of a setting Warhammer is, where often you'll have people that it's not unusual to meet writers that treat Warhammer more like a low magic setting that has like all these horrible, nasty things, but magic items are like extremely rare. Like even the most basic bitch, like Sword of Might or whatever that just gives you +1 to hit or +1 strength or whatever would be an incredibly rare artifact within the actual story itself. Whereas from the tabletop game's perspective, and
they're everywhere.
They're like all over the place. And from a lot of and sometimes you'll have writers that will deal with magic items being fairly pop up in regular intervals as well. It generally depends on who it is that's writing the story and kind of what the story's trying to discuss. But every once in a while, you'll get fun little stories where magic items do pop up. I think kind of the best example tends to be when you have stories that are reinforcing a like tabletop scenario and the character has a magic item. Usually they'll be pretty good about mentioning what the item does and what its purpose is. Whereas if you're reading like a Black Library book, I tend to find items are pretty rare, like magic items.
Yeah. I'd fully agree with that. It's the same in 40k. Like every named character has some kind of like ancient relic weapon, but then again, it's Warhammer 40k, so everything is an ancient relic weapon.
Yeah. If you get a named spot on tabletop, you get to put your hands in the goodie bag and see what you pull out.
There was actually a really funny joke comic the other day that I read, and it was perfect. I absolutely love this. And it was a salamander looking at a guardsman, and there was a wave of Tyranids coming towards them. And the salamander just goes, "My name is Sakan. What is your name?" And the guardsman's just like, "Sir, we're about to die. I don't think an angel needs to know my name." And he goes, "No, I need to know your full name." And he just goes, it's like Jenkins or something. I don't remember. And then the last panel of the comic is all of the Tyranids dead with those two standing next to each other. And he just goes, "Good job," and leaves.
Yeah. If your name is dropped, you will survive.
Yeah, unless you're in a heresy novel.
Yeah.
Because then you have to die.
So Space Marines are elves. There are as many of them as the story needs, considering that there's only 1 to 1.5 millions of the million Marines in the galaxy. 1K chapters with 1K Marines in a Codex chapter.
I can go into this. Okay, so the number of Space Marines has always been something that's bugged the ever living out of me.
You can swear on here. It's fine.
Beauty. Anyway, so the number of Space Marines has never made any sense because 1,000 Marines is stupid. Also, 1,000 Marines doesn't even factor in the 10th company. The 10th company is the Scout Company. So it's just the 1,000 Marines, and that is including its senior officers like Tech Marines, Chaplains. It doesn't include Dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts count as vehicles. They are counted as part of the armory, but they're also venerated, so they're attached to certain companies. But the scouts of a Space Marine chapter, we'll go with the Blood Ravens on this one because they actually have in canon, and this is canon, they have an entire planet that is nothing but Space Marine scouts, and there are billions of them on this planet.
Sounds like quite the sausage party, but go on.
Yes, because there needs to be, because of how many Space Marines die and how quickly they die. In the Wrath of Magnus, Space Wolves lost a few companies. Then the Dark Angels attacked them. There was a whole thing with the Changeling tricking them and all this other garbage. Then an Inquisitor came in and was like, "Hey, I know about the Fallen. Stop doing this. Go save your brothers." And then they did the whole Fall of Cadia. And while that was all happening, the Space Wolves had about 300 Marines left at the end of it. And then the Rubicon Primaris happened, and suddenly they gained their entire chapter back because GW needed it. And instead of like giving the Space Wolves that heroic last death and bringing back Lehman Russ, which would have been fucking awesome, but they were just like, "Nah, we can't do that right now," even though Fall of Cadia is essentially the end times of the older editions, and the Primaris moving forward is the AOS of Warhammer 40k, but no one's ready for that conversation yet. But yeah, Space Marines are inherently just, there is as many of them as they need, and GW has gotten smarter over the years and stopped putting numbers to chapters. So now the Ultima founding, or the what is it called? The Belisarius founding or some garbage like that. It's the Call founding with all the Primaris Marines. Now there is way more than that. Also, Black Templar are probably under 1 million. They probably don't have that many because they're constantly fighting and dying. I saw that as a comment in there.
There it is.
Yeah. Black Templar are constantly fighting and dying and trying to get back their numbers. And since they're a fleet-based chapter, it is very difficult for them to get back their number. And a lot of the times when they're asked about their chapter number, it's actually in shame and not as a boast. They're not like, "Haha, we still have 15 companies." It's more like, we have a number of them and we need to take over this planet so that we can get more of us. In fact, in a more recent story where the Primaris caused a little bit of a not really a civil war, but just Black Templar being stupid.
I hear that happens a fair bit, but yeah, go on.
But the Black Templar attacked each other because one was accepting of Primaris, one wasn't. And when they attacked each other, they stopped because they had insufficient numbers to continue their crusade. So
we can't kill another. We have to kill. We have to kill other
people. Granted, each so the High Marshal knows how many there actually is, and then under them there is a marshal, and then under that there is several marshals, and each one of them leads their own crusade. So there is anywhere from less than 1,000 to upwards of, I would say around like probably 2, maybe 3,000 Black Templars at any one time, and a lot of them are scouts. Like, keep that in mind. They're not full Black Templars. They are just scouts. And they're constantly training new recruits.
Yeah, transitioning people up the ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, something you said when we were talking about Space Marines earlier, that the comment from Mavani actually reminds me of, is that I really do, in a lot of ways, amusingly enough, feel like the Space Marines are very similar to the elves of Warhammer Fantasy, and Eldar probably fall into this as well. Of that, the elves of Warhammer Fantasy are notoriously garbo compared to how stories talk about them, where they're these like hyper elite, super fast, like incredibly skilled warriors, and they try and reflect it in the tabletop by, like, if you played elves especially during Fantasy's like older active days, they cost more points per model. So like you would pay significantly more for elves than you would for like an Empire equivalent, even though the elves were basically worse because they cost more, but they had basically the same stats. Like they might have one higher weapon skill and some higher initiative, but they have such light armor and they're so squishy that they die to anyone looking at them wrong. Though one of the things, for anyone that's not familiar with the history of tabletop fantasy, there was an edition where Games Workshop did try to make the rules lore accurate.
I remember this.
And it was a terrible idea, and it was 7th edition, which is super duper duper infamous. It actually kicked off, once again, similar to what Alexis was saying, with the Demons book. That the Demons book came out and basically made lore accurate demons. That they changed some fundamental laws about how demons work. So in old fantasy, and if you actually go into like the roleplay game or the which this changed in 4th edition, but if you go into the older laws for Warhammer, it would always basically say that demons are they're these terrifying magical creatures that spawn out of the ether and whatever, and that when someone tries to attack them, there is a reasonably high chance that they can kind of almost phase out of reality for a second, so that whatever is attacking goes right through them. But in the old rules,
we had rules similar to that in 40K for a hot minute.
Yeah, but in the old rules, if it was a magical attack, so if you had like a blessed weapon or a magic weapon or a spell, it prevented them from kind of like phasing into the ether because it was a magical source.
Them nemesis weapons.
Yeah, and it would hit them, and there was no way they could redirect from it if they didn't have any armor, so they would die instantly. Yep. Well. And this was represented in the 6th edition and before rules, where if a demon got hit with a magic weapon, they lost their ward save. Same thing for like forest spirits and other kind of things like that. Well, then 7th edition shows up, and 7th edition goes, you know what? Instead of the demons having a 6-up ward save that goes away when they get hit by magic weapons, we're going to give all demons universally a 5-up ward save that nothing in the game can get rid of. Like, there's, well, except for like a few sparing little items here or there.
We called it demonic invulnerability.
Yeah, so the demon ward save rolls up and just goes, fuck everyone. I have a 1 in 3 chance to just ignore all forms of damage. Yep. And the demons were basically unstoppable. And it was worse because the plague bearers were even bigger bullshit, because they also added a new system for demons with the heralds, where the heralds were now heroes that could be attached into a unit, and they would have like a loci. So they were these locuses of demonic or powerful dark magic and such that gave buffs to their unit. And one of them was that you could take an exalted demon of Nurgle, give him a loci that made him have regeneration, put him in a unit of plague bearers, and at that time, no one had ever been, I will use the term, stupid enough to give a unit regen and a ward save. So we didn't have any kind of rule for it. And so for when you attacked plague bearers, you had to get through a 4-up regeneration save and a 5-up ward save to deal any damage. And it was impossible. It was fucking impossible to kill those things.
This reminds me of Grey Knights back in like 5th, 6th edition. They were absolute garbage. Hey, Victor got it.
Yeah, Victor got it. And it was awful. It was genuinely one of the I remember playing against 7th edition demons, and the thing was it was so bad. Like they were you had to get so lucky because basically the only way you could beat them was that you had to kind of do almost like a character rush and try to pop the herald. Because if the herald died, the ward save would go, or the regen would go away.
Yeah. So there was a problem back in I think it was 7th or 8th edition. No, it was 7th edition Warhammer. 7th edition apparently is just the worst edition of any game forever. That GW touches.
Yeah.
But in 7th edition, demons had a demonic summoning mechanic. Now, demonic summoning sounds like you summon in a demon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the average person would just be like, oh, yeah, so that's part of your 2,000 points and you just summon in a demon, right? Nope, not at all. Instead, what you did is you summoned in a demon from outside of the game. But depending on the level of demon, it was harder to summon. But do you know what you could summon in? A summoner.
Oh.
So, by the end of your first turn, you had like 50 summoners on the field because they could each summon again. And as long as you didn't fail, you just got to keep summoning.
Oh, dear.
Or you tried to go for something bigger.
Oh, dear.
So there was an edition where demons were just outlandishly crazy and so powerful in 40k. And then they nerfed that like 2 weeks after. But 7th edition was just hot garbage and almost made me quit playing Warhammer.
Yeah, ours, because the thing for ours was that it was interesting because when the demons came out, everybody hated it and it was really bad. So instead of nerfing it, because nerfs were fairly rare back then, like you'd maybe get like an errata somewhere on the website back in like the late 2000s, but instead what they did was, instead of like, oh, let's nerf this book and move on, they turned around and said, oh no, let's buff every book that we release after this so that it's on the same level as the demons. So then we got like the High Elves book, and the High Elves came out, and instead of just being like, the High Elves had always been pretty shit before then because they had always had that issue of they were just more expensive and they were too squishy and everything. The new High Elves came out, and the first thing we saw when we opened up the page is all High Elves have always strike first. Just like baseline. And we're all like, oh my God. And they also have a really high initiative. And it's like, okay, well, why do they have a high initiative? And the rule said, okay, so if a High Elf has always strike first, it will always go first in combat. And if the enemy doesn't also have always strike first, then that means that if the High Elf's initiative is equal to or higher than the enemy's, they get to not only strike first, but they get to reroll fail to hits because they're so fast that they get to like change the direction of their weapons, which in and of itself was manageable. It was painful, and their magic was like a lot stronger, and they had better items. But the real kicker was everyone looked at that and went, okay, you know what? That's reasonable. Like elves were always supposed to be super skilled, super fast. This actually makes it where initiative matters. I can kind of get this, especially because in this edition, initiative had kind of been replaced by charging because charging gave you always strike first. So it made it where initiative just didn't matter a lot of the time. So then they did two other things that made everyone go, GW, what the fuck? Which is first, they had the anti-demon contingency, as we all like to call it, which was the banner of the World Dragon, which the banner of the World Dragon said, this unit is immune to magic. And what they meant by that was that you had this big banner and it made it where spells didn't work on the unit. And if you did magic damage, like demons, You couldn't hurt them.
I just imagine they're just pushing away the demon, like, go
they're
away,
just
away.
poking
Go
over
on,
the flag, being like, yeah. And
go
so
on, get.
I remember watching tournaments where like demon players would have to kill everything but that unit. Or it was like you had like a 2-up ward save or some stupid bullshit. But it was like basically impossible to kill them. So of course, high elf players started taking like 60-man units of Phoenix Guard that would be immune to magic and have a 4-up ward save. And would just put all of their characters in that unit and just all hide all their points in a big invulnerable block. But
hero hammer.
Yeah, but the real fucker was the thing that made the high elves grossly overpowered, just like the Demon's Book, was that in addition to being one of the best armies in the game as far as speed got, in that they got to attack everyone before they were attacked, and they could reroll failed hits very reliably and everything, the dragons got updated. And the high elf dragons went from being dragons were like 6s across the board, like pretty standard big monster fare, like all 6s, pretty normal. Instead, they went, okay, well, there's different kinds of dragons. So you have like your 5s across the board dragon, your 6 across the board dragon, and now introducing your 7s across the board dragon. And the star dragons, which were the 7s across, made greater demons look like bitches. Like they were so strong. And it's like they could breathe fire multiple times per game, and they had a strength 4 fire breath with the big old flame template. So they'd land next to your unit, you put the flame template, and they just murder everybody. And they hit so fucking hard that like most armies just didn't have a way to deal with it, because before that point of the game, that level of strength had never been seen before. And it was only made in response to the Demon's Book, which had introduced that level of strength. So the demons and the high elves were balanced to fight each other, but if you weren't playing any of those armies, fuck you was the answer.
Oh, that's great. Now, would you say that matches the lore?
No, I would say yes, honestly. And it kept happening with every book that came out afterwards. Where like I will never forget the 7th edition Lizardmen book, because I had such a good time with it. It was a bullshit book. It was not fair to anyone that played against it. The Slawn were absolute horseshit. The Slawn, where you could just stack a bunch of different, because in 6th edition, it used to be that you would pick like what generation your Slawn was, and it would make them more expensive the older they were. And they were powerful. They were very, very scary. But 7th edition was like, oh, here's like a list of customizable abilities, and you just pick your favorite ones and you could stack them, and that represented like the generation, and they were borderline invincible. Like borderline invincible.
That is what the Slan are, though.
Oh yeah. Like killing a Slawn should be nearly impossible, but doing that to tabletop players is the opposite of fun. Because this led to the 7th edition problem was that when characters were it took us back to a very strong Hero Hammer edition of that characters, because they were a lot of characters and units were getting lore level abilities and levels where they felt accurate to the stories you were reading about them. But it led players to creating Death Stars, where in order to win a game, they would put all of their points into the minimum amount of units and just make them as hard to kill as humanly possible.
We had that in 7th as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to a tournament in 7th edition where there was a Lizardman player whose entire army was, I think, like 3 units of skink skirmishers and then a titanic block of Temple Guard with 2 Slawn in it. And it was like, what do you even do? And the answer is nothing. That's what you do. You do nothing. You just show up and lose the game. Okay, I do want to grab out a couple of comments here we have, especially for Miss Alexis here. Vera, good to see you. Curious as to your thoughts on how magic and psychery are handled in the RPG games. Warp Charge in Imperium Maledictum is particularly interesting since it borrows a lot from Darktide's language for adapting psychery.
So I don't have much experience with Imperial Maledictum as much. My experience is more from Dark Heresy. And Dark Heresy, the levels of magic.
I do.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I can answer this.
You can?
I like how you've just been like strategically waiting.
To answer this specific question, first off, I have a gripe. Imperial Maledictum does not
This is Victor.
adapt. Hi, I'm Victor, by the way. Does not fully adapt from Darktide because it refuses to call it quelling. It calls it purgation, which is not the same thing. All right, that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on. Magic and Psychery handling RBG. So, this is a bigger question, but in 4th edition, as Sotek is probably much more able to talk to because he's playing in it right now. In that, you have to build up the power and then whoop, send it out. You have to channel it.
You also have to say voomp.
And whoop. Very important.
By the way, for anyone curious, this is my Sunday games master when I play Wolfrip, which is very funny.
Exactly.
Victor, the DM.
Hi.
Yeah, he's great.
So, in Imperium Maledictum, you, instead of having to channel and then push out your power, you stack the thing that Vera points out called warp charge. So you have a warp charge limit that can be anything from a 3 to a 6, depending on what your stats are. And the more powerful... Will you stop that? The more powerful the psychic power, the more warp charge you get. And if you want to be able to do more stuff, you have to get rid of the warp charge, which auto gives you psychic phenomena, which I much prefer over... Will you stop that?
No, I'm having fun.
Which I much prefer over how miscasts are handled in fantasy. Because it means I get to roll on the psychic phenomena and the perils table more often, as opposed to miscast stuff in 4th edition, which I feel doesn't happen enough. But that's just me because I like rolling on tables. So...
all that in my voice.
Originally, just to clean up
as
the
a
point,
unit.
Originally,
we're two halves of a whole idiot.
The same system was used for Dark Heresy and 4th edition, where it was you channeled your thingy. Now I'm forgetting what the skill was called. Beside the point.
Thingy.
But I never actually liked the fact that, hey, the Dark Heresy system is just, we don't know what to do here, so we just took the 2nd edition fantasy rules and threw them in there.
So, okay, that's actually a genuine question I have, Alexis.
Yes.
Is that, so when it comes
He's
to...
gone.
When it comes to psychic... it's good to see Victor. Kofu! When it comes to psychic powers, from a lore standpoint versus like Tabletop the rules and stuff, do they have to like build up like you do with Magic the Winds, or can they just like, is it more of like a snap fire?
Psychic powers in 10th edition are the most boring thing ever.
Right.
They are just, you roll a d6 and on a 2+ they work. And that's it. And usually they're just a shooting attack or you get an invo save or something else. And they are extremely boring. But one cool thing, and one thing that I actually still keep from 7th edition, is you would roll a leadership test, and if you passed, you got to do the psychic power. If you failed, you couldn't do the psychic power. And if you rolled doubles, either double ones or double sixes, you paralyzed and you took mortal wounds, or you just exploded. But in older editions, psychic powers were crazy powerful. They were things like geokinesis, where you could take an entire terrain piece that your army is sitting on and move it. And that was super powerful because you could assault from it. You would see people take buildings and then move the building because it's hilarious.
Right.
The Bastion bus was really common. You would see things like the Blood Angels beam of blood. I can't remember what it's called. But it's just, you draw a straight line and everything in that line died. They get to roll some type of like invo or feel no pain, but usually they just died. But psychic powers now in current 10th edition are just, my Hive Tyrant is a Psyker, your clothes are red. And that's pretty much it. And if anyone gets that reference, they're a hero.
So Vera, what I will say to this is that when it comes to fantasy and magic, I think the current way it's handled in Wolfrup is fairly good. I do agree with what Victor said, that I do think it should be more dangerous than it is. Magic should be more high risk than it is. Right now it's pretty easy to grab like a tier 1 talent and it basically makes you immune to miscast, except for like really rare circumstances. But I would make miscasting happen much more often, so magic is scarier to use, but otherwise I think it's pretty good. Jig, good to see you. Hi, Jiglag, good to see you. Star Dragon Doomstack happened a few times in history. Yeah, interestingly
Didn't that happen during the end times?
I mean, that was basically just end time storyline. I mean, if anything, that would be end time.
Hey, someone got the Kung Pao reference.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the beginning, First War of Vengeance book, there's a single battle with 20,000 dragons. Yeah, dragons are
what?
So this was thousands of years ago, and like they were able to have like a lot more dragons showing up and doing things.
I forgot that Warhammer Fantasy is it's in the category. There's 2 categories of dragons. Once there were dragons and they were numerous, and then the other, there are dragons now. We need to get rid of them.
Yeah, and it was one of those times where 7th edition I really do, and I will say
Dreadnoughts were a thing.
Yeah, I will say eternally that it really was the edition for fantasy, at least, where the lore was guiding the rules. And to put it frankly, it was the shittiest edition we ever had, because there was so much power that it was like magic. You could have magic phases that like felt like they never ended. Yep. Because characters like vampire counts, especially, and the Slon for Lizardmen would generate so much magic that they would just keep going. I mean, I remember I think the 7th edition that was the edition where we had the Slon, where the Slon had a rule where every time they cast a spell, they got to add an extra dice. So what the Slon would do is they would math out how to cast like 6 spells a turn, because they would only do 1 die per spell, and it was obscene. Like it was absolutely obscene.
Yeah. And we had that in 7th and 8th edition of Warhammer before they got rid of the psychic phase, because there are armies in 40k that just don't have psychers. And it's like your opponent's just sitting there for like 40 minutes going, cool. I guess I die.
Yeah, I guess this is a good point. One of the easy ways to talk about this, I think, would actually be with psychic and magic, because when you read the lore, they talk a lot about how there are wizards and psychers that can like destroy entire armies.
Yes. And then that doesn't ever actually happen in any books of Warhammer, which is
it's like shame. Like in fantasy, we get wizards that just like obliterate armies in some of the Black Library books and stuff. But like that shouldn't be a tabletop experience, because it just sucks when you're playing against it. But there have been editions where it was like, 8th edition, they introduced magical vortexes like the Purple Sun that could literally wipe an entire army on turn 1.
Yeah.
And it like, I will never forget how bad I felt for people that would show up to play in like a GT, and like, you're there to win, but you're also there to have a good time, and you've like cleaned up your army and everything. And some asshole flies a dark elf on a Pegasus on turn 1, flies 20 inches to the flank of your army, throws 6 dice, irresistible forces, a 5-inch template that flies down your army, and everyone hit by it takes an initiative test or dies.
Yeah, we actually had that, but it wasn't a flying elf. It was a flying dreadnought. I'm not kidding. The little box knot that could. It would.
Sounds like it should not be a thing, but okay.
It would activate the Wings of Sanguinius, which is a psychic power, and it would fly across the battlefield. It would line up your army and shoot the blood missile thing that I can't remember the name of right now. And it was just a beam that went out like 12 inches, and anything it touched took a test, and if it failed the test, was removed. Not died, removed. So it got around Eternal Warrior.
Yeah, the Purple Sun was also you rolled a single D. I want to say for Purple Sun it was a D6 times 5 for the range. Yeah. So if they rolled like even above a 2, it was game over. And
Ridiculous.
it was if you got touched by the template, didn't even have to, because it was the 5-inch total one, so like the 2.5 radius, which was a fucking giant template. It was so rare that it got used. But they'd throw it down your line, and if the model was even grazed by it, you had to roll a d6 to get your initiative, which most things in the game had a 3 or less. But ogres, for instance, were 2s or 1s. So if you rolled a 3 or higher, it didn't matter how many wounds you had. It didn't matter if you had any ward saves, regen, armor, none of that. You just instantly died. And then, because it was a death spell, the rule was for every wound you caused, you got to roll a dice, and on a 6, you got power dice back, so you could keep casting. So if they just blew up all the ogres, they do like 30 to 60 wounds easy. So they roll 60 dice, and all the 6s they got were new spells they could cast. It's like, why
that
show
seems
up to the
fair
table?
and balanced.
Yeah, why show up to the table? Why?
Oh my god, I would just, I would rage. I would rage so hard.
Yeah, and it was not a good state because as much as I hate to say it, that's why I don't think it's good to have in most cases. Though I'll talk about some exceptions.
I have an exception where I think the lore is represented very well with this with the army.
Yeah, but it's rough especially because you'll always have your power gamers. Always. Yes. And power gamers ruin everything.
So funny enough, I have the completely opposite take on power gamers. I play Warhammer 40K at a very competitive level. Okay, I go to GTs, I go to tournaments, and I play 10th edition with the intent that me and my opponent are both going to have fun, but we are playing at our best.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I play in tournaments are the most helpful people ever because they want to have the most enjoyment out of the game. I will ask people from across the board, I'm like, hey, if you move your tank here, can you catch a line of sight on my guys here, or are they covered? My intent is that they're in cover. And most opponents in tournaments, and even at GT levels, we're just like, oh, no, you're good. I'll put models on top of buildings and be like, they're on the bottom floor. I'm putting them here so that you know where they are. They are an inch away from all of the walls. And my opponent will be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. Most of the competitive scenes that I've been to in the last 10 years have been
super nice.
Very positive.
But then I'm playing like Heresy. The Horus Heresy 3.0, which is a pretty okay game. I'm not going to say it's like great. I think 2nd edition was pretty good, but it's always just been a good game. Never like, oh, this is a must-play game. But like every time I play a Heresy event against, like in a friendly event, that's where the power gamers are. And they're always trying to get you at gotchas. And it's...
Yeah. And that's a fair comment. That's a fair comment. Confusing a power gamer with the one I call it. So that's terminology. Yeah. So when I say power gamer, I'm not talking about someone that's like playing to win. I'm talking about someone that will do anything to win. That's a win at all cost gamer. Yeah, which is not terminology I normally use. But in this case, if we create a separation there of someone that plays very competitively versus someone who will do anything to win.
Yeah.
Which is people that will use gotchas, which is not considered very bad manners.
I remember one game I was playing, and I was trying to have fun. It was the last hurrah of 2nd edition, and I couldn't find a rule at the time. And my opponent was very insistent that I didn't have it. And they were making me stressed, and I realized, like, oh, wait, I have free will. And I just went, you know what? You win. Good game. You win. I quit. And they were like, wait, you can't quit. And I'm like, no, you won. Good job. Yep. And they were like, wait, no, I don't want to win like that. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. You won.
Yeah.
And it was so annoying because like I moved and shot something. And then he's like, oh, if you shoot this unit, it can jump into combat. And I'm just like, all right, well, with that knowledge, I won't shoot it. And they're like, well, you already rolled dice. And I'm like, bro, what?
Yeah, that's all. That is genuinely one of the best ways to undercut them. Because I remember being at tournaments. So this was more an issue pre 8th edition fantasy. But before 8th edition fantasy, it used to be that your list was a secret when you play a game. So like everything in your army was hidden from your opponent. And the logic at the time was that there were often things like, oh, you didn't want your opponent to know like a unit has like an assassin in it or has like an upgrade that's supposed to be like not revealed right away. But they took it really far of like your opponent's not supposed to, like you're supposed to know what the minis are, but you're not supposed to know what equipment they have and stuff like that. And it led to, it was so gotcha heavy. Like that was the point of the game, was to get gotchas on people.
I hate gotchas so much. And oh my God. But like the community here in Iceland is perfect for it.
When it any cost gamer, what? You can't quit. That's against the rules. No, the consequences of my actions.
No, there are actually people that I've played before. This is mostly in like the States that I played, where I just blatantly refused to play them. I was like, I talked to TOs and I'd be like, hey, just give me, there's a buy round, right? Can I request a buy round for mental health reasons? And they'll just be like, yeah, because I don't want to play them.
Yeah, that's, there was, well, we'll talk about that strategy in a second. Let's get caught up with Super Chat stuff and we get back into it. Necromancer Cobalt,
Yes.
What are a couple of y'all's favorite intentionally or unintentionally funny tabletop rules?
Okay. It has to be the lucky stick from 7th edition. That is just hilarious.
So what was its actual like rule?
Reroll invo save.
Oh, right. You said that. Yeah.
That was it.
That
was it.
Reroll
but it was so funny because it was called the lucky stick.
Yeah,
it was it was reroll a die. And it was not specific. Because
that's quite good.
Yeah, because it was a lucky stick.
Yeah, for fantasy, I would say the funniest by far was Skaven misfire charts. Skaven.
Oh my God!
Funniest.
Mine's another orc one.
Yeah, Skaven. Like, I cannot tell you how many games I played, how many tournaments I went to, where Skaven would bring warp lightning cannons because they were genuinely awesome. Like warp lightning cannons were really really powerful. They shot through terrain. Because the lore for it is that like the beam is so powerful, being this warpstone beam, that mountains, hills, it just goes through them. So you'd shoot it in a straight direction and it hit everything in that direction. But this led to this really funny situation where one of the miscast results you could get, I think it's if you miscast on a 6, would be that you'd have to roll a scatter die, which used to be a thing the game had, no longer has these days. I miss scatter die; they were fun.
I still play them with them in Heresy, but yeah.
I guess I still use them in fantasy, but I haven't played a fantasy game in a few months. But anyway, so you'd roll a scatter die, and the warp lightning cannon would spin to face whatever direction you came up with. So it would spin 360, land in the direction you rolled, and then it would fire a strength 10 shot 66 inches in that direction. And just obliterate whatever was in front of it. And there was Skaven players had this uncanny ability that when they would roll that result, it would always end up facing like straight down their own army and just plow through the entire army and just kill everything.
Hell yeah.
And it was great. And Skaven players most of the time were the most chill, like hilarious people that would be delighted to kill their own armies.
Yes. My second one is the shock attack gun for the orcs, but not attached to the Big Mech, instead attached to the Big Mech's vehicle. There was a vehicle back in 5th and 6th edition of Orcs called the Junka, and the Junka could have a shock attack gun. And the shock attack gun had a hilarious chart where 1, it blows up. 2, I'm going to get these wrong, and I apologize. It's been a few years. 2, the shock attack gun is only like strength 3, and it spews out the guts of like the grot that it slurped in and shot through the warp at you. 3,
hilarious.
The grot gets teleported inside your armor and starts ripping you apart because it's turning into a chaos spawn.
Oh, okay.
4, it was a super strong beam. 4 was one of the results was you move the shock attack gun in contact with the unit that you shot. Okay. And then the sixth one was it put a beam so powerful that it opened up a rift into the warp, and the thing just got sucked into the warp into another dimension, just ripped apart. And the orcs think that this is hilarious. But I remember I was shooting a big mech in his own custom transport with the shock attack gun. I can't remember what it was called right now. I can't remember the transport's name. My apologies. But I shot and got the ability to go all the way across the field into combat with the thing. But if you rolled 3 6s, yeah, you killed yourself. Yep. But because I was in a tank, it counted as a tank shock. And because it traveled all the way across the field, it was strength 12.
That's fantastic.
It had no AP. So it just bounced off of the guy. But it's still hilarious that I could just imagine the shock attack gun flying across the field, just going, oh.
Yeah. Skaven and greenskins were always fantastic in fantasy. Like greenskins, Skaven, like the rattling guns, their rule was very good, and it was really good for people that enjoyed gambling too much, because the idea of a rattling gun was you rolled a d6, and that's how many shots you got, and you could roll as many d6s as you wanted, but if any of them matched a d6 you had already rolled, it misfired. So if you rolled like a 1, a 6, a 4, a 2, you just fired 13 shots. That's great. But if you rolled a 6 and a 6, you just misfired. And their misfire results would be anything from they'd explode to they turn and shoot the unit they were supposed to be protecting to all sorts of goofy stuff.
Why don't I have an orc army? Damn. I've been talking about orcs this whole time.
Yeah, it sounds like shit. Or like greenskins, the Doom Diver catapult is super famous. Of like, it's literally a goblin that wears a pointy metal hat that gets launched out of a catapult with wings. And the rules were great because it fired like a catapult. It actually hurt really bad. But because the goblin has wings that it flaps, you could correct the scatter die by d6 inches, which represented it flapping its wings, trying to aim, which was great. Like that's just fun. Or my personal favorite, and one I got a lot of use out of, was so the Uber spell for the lore of Gork, or the lore of Bigwa, is the Foot of Gork, right? Classic, super classic spell. Had its own temple and everything. You
put the foot down.
Yeah, just stomps on everything. But the greenskins had a rule where when they Foot of Gorked, if they did like the big version on a 3+, they got to keep stomping. So every time they would stomp, they would roll a dice, and on a 1 or a 2, or on a 2, I think it stopped. And on a 3 or higher, they got to stomp another unit. And they just kept stomping till they rolled a 1 or a 2. But if they rolled a 1, their opponent got to choose where the foot would go down.
Oh, no.
So they would stomp all over your enemy, but if they rolled a 1, they'd stomp on their own army. And it would get ridiculous. And you would keep rolling. So I remember, or maybe it was on a 4+, they kept stomping, and on a 2 and a 3, it stopped. And then a 1, the opponent picked. But I literally watched a guy, a greenskin player, who rolled like 3 1s in a row and just kept stomping on his own army like over and over again. It was great.
The best part is he's probably having the time of his life.
Oh yeah, almost every greenskin player I knew were the sweetest people because they barely ever won because their rules were so random. It was very hard to win.
I have never met an orc player in any capacity that was a bad person. I have had the best games against orc players, and I love when orc player, like, I know it's one of the things, like, a lot of people hate when you hear the orc player at events or at the screaming and shouting and everything. I am not having fun unless that orc player is screaming and shouting. If I hear somebody go, I'm going to call the WA this turn in a calm voice, I'm going to be like, ugh.
The dice gods won't favor that. Also, AVP Lycor, thank you very much for gifting us up, by the way. Schroeder, thank you for the 39 months. I just want to call those out. Appreciate it, because they don't show up on here normally.
Did he, though? Because it's Schroeder.
Yeah, Schroeder 9000, man. He's the ultimate
Schroeder.
My
God.
Yeah, but so I knew an orc player who, we all loved him. I think his name was Eric. We all genuinely loved him to death, in spite of what I'm about to say about him. We all loved him very dearly, but he was known as the Slow Hammer because he was the slowest player ever. He played Orcs, which are a huge army with a lot of randomness that happens. Like that's why Orcs were never in fantasy were never considered particularly competitive, because their rules were designed more to be fun. So they had a lot of random, because like animosity is super random.
It's the same in older editions of 40K versus 10th edition. 10th edition, they had to dumb the Orc rules down quite a bit to make them, actually be able to play an entire game.
Yeah. So
in 3 hours.
Yeah. So the Slowhammer, he would sit there with this giant army and he would think so carefully about every single thing he had to do, even though most of the time he didn't actually have any choice over what was going to happen because the random dice would decide, but he would still sit there and think about it. And playing him was like, he was super sweet, but like playing him, especially if you were playing in the game slot before lunch, was a nightmare because you were gonna be late for lunch.
Yep.
It would take forever. Every game, like you'd be lucky in a 6-turn game, you'd be lucky to get to the end of turn 3. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Terrible.
we have a few players like that.
And it wasn't like he was like a really hardcore player that was like deliberately trying to run the clock out, which I have seen in my life.
I have as well. It's really fun.
Yeah, he was just a really nice, very sweet, but very old guy that just took a really long time to commit to a decision.
Yep.
AV Poor Lycor. Just curious on what both of your favorite wars are lore-wise in the 40K setting. Lycor says theirs is the Octarius War between the Orcs and the Tyranids.
Octarius is really good. Oh man, that's
gotta pick one.
Give me a second.
So okay, I'll grab mine because I don't know about that many. For me, the Octarius War would probably be my favorite because I feel like when it's Xenos versus Xenos, GW lets both sides actually just have a good time with it.
Yeah.
I think if the story, because I think they could have done a really good job with it, if the story of the Blood of Baal had ended with the Tyranids just like taking the planet, and then the Blood Angels had to go through a whole story to like retake it.
Could
later.
you imagine if GW would let the Space Marines lose?
Yeah, if
that'd be cool.
That's how that story should have ended. If Baal had fallen to the Tyranids, that would have been my favorite story because that would have been a genuinely fascinating and tragic tale. That's not what happened because Khorne saves the day for reasons.
It is weird because there's two versions of that story. One where Khorne shows up and one where it's mentioned that they might have shown up.
Yeah, or I forget his name. The guy I hate. Kabanda fucking shows up and saves the day like a total douche.
Yeah, which is weird because Kabanda isn't really part of 40K lore as much.
He's not part of fantasy lore at all.
No, it's because it's Kabanda and he's just the guy.
Yeah, I know. He has a very unhealthy like hate fuck relationship with Sanguinius that he can't get over.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, he is the most Sundari bloodthirster. That is the perfect description of Kabanda.
Okay.
Yet one more.
I can't remember the name of the war, but it's when the Lion declared war on the Space Wolves. Not the Lion, sorry. Azrael declared war on the Space Wolves. And it was because of the Changeling. I cannot remember the name of the war. And it was a little bit bizarre because the dark... What was it? Months of Shame. Thank you, Victor. Victor's my brain. He can remember names. I can remember some things.
You're a flawless team.
Yep. But the Months of Shame is like this ridiculously cool story and has one of my favorite moments ever in any book in the history of forever, except for 40K books. Let's just leave it at that. But it has Bjorn the Fell-Handed waking up, going, "The hell is happening? Why is there an Inquisitor here? Why is she fine?" And starts playing with her hair. He's a dreadnought. Also, the Dark Angels is absolutely
why do I like have the mental image of him like calling her Fraulein, and it's like everyone's like, ugh.
No, he actually just hits on the Inquisitor. It's really, really weird.
My man's like, I may be in a living casket, but that's not going to stop my game.
He's just like, if you open this up, I'm pretty sure it still works.
So
there are no good Eldar wars. No, there isn't.
Yeah. I feel bad for the Eldar. Like, elves in fantasy have so many cool stories.
Hear me out. And this is going to piss off a lot of people. Eldar don't really fit into the Warhammer 40k setting.
Ooh, there's a spicy take.
I will stand by this. They are also the Weeb faction because they follow the path of the Bushido. They shoot shurikens at each other. All their iconography is Japanese. They are literal like Zen garden monks.
Path of the Outcast, my beloved.
But like, there is not like GW does not care about them at all. And the only times you see the Eldar do anything is in the tabletop setting. Is when GW accidentally made them too powerful, and then people drop them because they're an army that is very difficult to balance. In fact, there is more about the Tau than there is the Eldar. The Tau fit the setting way more than the Eldar. And I will stand by this. And they had to shoehorn in the whole Slanesh thing because the elves did not do that in fantasy.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Slanesh just came about like the other three in fantasy. Yeah, it's Eldar. I would very much agree in the sense that it really feels like GW doesn't know what to do with them.
No, they don't. They have no idea.
Yeah, because they're just punching bags for everybody else, and they feel very bizarre and random.
Yeah. Like one of their best stories is in the Dawn of War 3 game, which the Dawn of War 3 game is absolutely atrocious, but the story is pretty good. And that's it. That's all we get.
Eldar only exists so that named characters have the option of curb stomping the avatar of Kane. Well, they gotta establish themselves somehow.
Not anymore. Not anymore. The avatar is not even on the table anymore. It is now you have to beat Angron. Because everyone's beaten Angron.
Yeah, Angron has joined. He has added up. Yeah, I will say, if they come out with the Dino Eldari, then we'll have a discussion about like Eldar being
Dinosaur Eldari, the Corsair Eldari. If they come out with the actual Ynnari following Eldar, I would be on board with them. The death worshipping elves make way more sense in the setting than the Path of the Bushido, slightly way too fantasy elves that have hyper advanced ancient technology that they haven't updated in 10,000 years because they don't know how to update their weapons, except oopsie daisy GW said that their wraithbone was actually something that's grown organically.
Yeah, so this is one of those interesting things me and Andy have talked about in the past, which is that the Eldari and the elves have a really fascinating relationship because they were constantly stealing from one another. Where a lot of the best aspects of Warhammer Fantasy Elves originates from the 40k Eldari that got ported back into fantasy, and then fantasy continued to develop the elves, whereas it feels like the 40k Eldari sort of stagnated, and then they brought out the is it Yniad or Ynid? Or
Yniad, Ynid, whichever you want to say.
Sure.
The books, there are 2 audiobooks about them that I've listened to, and both pronounced it differently.
Yeah, and it's
Yniad, I think, is the Ynnari is the name of the branch, the religion or / the following, and then Ynid and Yniad are like a person and the god.
So Jick says that she says, I gotta disagree about the Eldar not fitting the setting, considering they're pretty much the epitome of the sense of a decaying empire. The
only problem is they're not decaying. They're always there. They have as many bodies as they are needed. And they have like an infinite number of craft worlds. And each time a craft world gets attacked, they have another craft world somewhere. And it feels like they could have gone like way more intense with the elves and made them like these really, really cool like characters. But right now they kind of just feel like Mighty Morphing Power Rangers that are just lame. Not even with a cool guitar solo or anything. They're just kind of lame.
Yeah, it really feels like they could use
They need stories where they win. They need stories where you can root for them. They need stories where they actually fit more into a sci-fi setting. It's really weird that they don't talk about their tech at all. And it's like, oh yeah, here's my gun. It shoots crystal. And it's like, okay.
So you're saying they just need to be like expanded on a lot more, because right now they just haven't received any.
They're just there.
They're just there.
Like, weirdly enough, I actually prefer their old lore from Rogue Trader to their current lore, except for with the Ynnari. I love the Ynnari. I love the Corsairs. I love the Harlequins. I think all of that is cool. The Harlequins fit way better into the lore than the Eldar do. But
so you're just talking about like the main Eldar faction.
Yes, I'm talking about Craft World Eldar.
Just the Craft World.
Just the Craft Worlds. I think they need to actually like go in there and actually like do stuff with them. They have nothing from like their point of view except for like the path books, but most of the path books were written prior to them trying to change the Eldari and make them more, part of the setting. It was more like, yeah, here you go. You can write these and make them cool. But like, I would love to see like the 5-book series of just the Eldar dealing with the warp rift that ripped across the entire universe.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
All right, let's get caught up on some more super chat stuff, and then I think we can circle back around to this, and we can talk about like how this reflects into their tabletop presence and yada yada. Because I think there's something that could be explored there. Morton Crescent, Ciaphas Kane, fraud or hero of the Imperium?
Yes. So he himself has no. Ciaphas Kane is kind of a joke character. It's based off of a British comedian or a British comedy show. Ciaphas Kane is a character who he himself believes that he is doing everything cowardly, and it turns out that it's always working in his favor. Like one time when they were fighting Tyranids, he's just like, I better go check in the back next to all the artillery. And then it turns out when he got there, they were being ambushed, and he led an attack against them, which then protected the artillery, which then won the war. And he was like, oh, dang it. And then one time he was fighting the Drukaris, the Dark Elves. And as he was fighting them, he realized that they're not trying to kill him. So he kept like exposing his neck and his vital organs to them, and they had to pull their blades and everything, and then he beat them. He's also bested a Khorne Berserker in close combat after Jurgen shot it with a melt-a-gun. So it's like
it helps.
Yeah. He is what 40K should be. It is a joke. It is a very surreal, like anti-fascist joke. And I love that. And I think that's great. And we need more of that. We need more Ciaphas Kane or Ciaphas Kane adjacent books, which is why we got the Infinite and the Divine. And that is a massive success.
Yeah, I just got the audio version to listen to because people won't.
Oh, it is absolutely beautiful. You will love every second of it.
That's what I keep hearing. Ricky Chapman, we remember a 40K match against a friend, the Silent King, and all the named Catan shards versus over 4 greater demons, one for each god in Bellicor. It was brutal. And we joked that the planet blew up after the fight. I mean, that sounds like a planet that would probably be pretty fucked if all that stuff's there at the same time.
So, the Satan are something that always bugs me when it comes to like trying to balance a god on the tabletop of 40K, where they're just a shard of the god and everything. But demons are also technically shards of gods. But the Emperor's consciousness and his living saints are shards of gods. And GW really likes using the term shards of gods.
I was gonna say gestures vaguely to Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Like where that's the whole setting.
Yeah. GW doesn't want to say that the gods are actually playable on tabletop, but in AOS, you actually do have gods like...
you could just play Nagash on the tabletop.
Yeah, Nagash,
God of Death.
Marathi is a god at this point.
Alariel?
Alariel. There's somebody else probably. The Slan could be classed as gods depending on who's talking about them.
Yeah, I would say it's fair. In AOS, I would say it's fair to call Kroak a god at this point. Kragnos is a god. You can play Kragnos.
Yeah.
God of Earthquakes. Yeah. In 40K, it seems like they're trying not to say the loud part out loud.
Yeah, but they literally called Gilliman and Lion demigods. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then is the Nightbringer the god of death? Can we get Gorkamork? I would be so on board with Gorkamork.
Yeah, it was weird for me when they were like, oh, we're doing a destruction god, and everyone was like, Gorkamorka? And they were like, and here's Kragnos. Everyone was like, who? I mean, Kragnos is fun. He's cool. I like Kragnos a lot, but man, he came out of nowhere.
I keep joking about Kragnos' model because technically the lower half of the horse half of him is female.
Oh yeah, that's because GW
doesn't want to put a horse penis on.
Yeah, they don't want to sculpt balls.
I love just saying that Kragnos is trans representation and watching people go nuclear online.
Oh, good lord! What is Kragnos doing in AOS lore? It's actually a bit of a mystery right now because he got
he's doing his own thing.
Well, he got the last we see him, he gets contained, fighting the dragon twins and like a giant army of lizardmen or Seraphon. And he hasn't reappeared since then.
I can do a reenactment of that battle. Lizard.
Oh my god.
You let me go on with that way too long.
Moving on. David Whitfield, my guilty OP force. 5 tarantulas equipped with grenade launchers, firing 10 vortex grenades on the first turn. Game over, surprise Carnosaur. Yeah.
So back in older editions, you had this thing called the vortex grenade. And the vortex grenade would go in a random direction. And if you rolled doubles or something, it would disappear. But if it touched a model or a piece of terrain, it disappeared.
Oh,
it was literally sucked into the warp. And
this
was second edition where nothing was balanced. That GW had no idea how to make a game. They were just 5 dudes in a bar talking about this. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. How's about an antifungal grenade? Oh, what could that be used against? Only orcs.
Oh, so the vortex grenade is literally just like a scaven brass orb. Ugh.
Yes.
But in grenade launchers.
Yeah. And it was just a piece of war gear, and technically you and your opponent could agree on how many pieces of war gear you brought. The average game had like 3, so you could bring 3 tarantulas filled with vortex grenade launchers and just them at your opponent.
Man, the Imperium should have just like mass-produced Imperial Guard with vortex grenades. Dummies, they could have just won the
Why doesn't the
setting.
Imperium mass-produce all of their weapons? They have the capacity. They have an entire galaxy's worth of resources. And then they're like, oh, we don't know how to. And it's like, bro, I don't know how to make a TV, but I'm pretty sure if I had all the parts, I'd put it together.
I remember my personal... this will be a good question for Alexis, would be... so my personal bullshit tactic I took to the tabletop. Like my go-to, I'm here to win, not to make friends, was that you do 2 things with 8th edition Lizardmen. It was you took a big group of Temple Guard and you made them super OP ridiculous with a Slon. And the goal was that you took a life Slon. And the reason was on turn 1, you would 6 dice cast a spell called Throne of Vines. And what it did is it gave the Slon, because miscasts were really, really painful. Miscasts could like just instantly kill your wizard and do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But if you 6 cast Throne of Vines, you would almost assuredly get a double 6. It was very likely you would. And if your opponent didn't have a Dispel Scroll, then you'd roll so high they wouldn't be able to stop you. And it made it where any future miscasts, your Slon ignored them on a 2+.
Sure.
So then from that point forward, you would cast one of 2 spells. You would either cast Dwellers Below, where you picked an enemy unit and said, okay, every model in that unit has to roll a dice. And if you roll higher than your strength or you roll a 6, that model instantly dies. And it wasn't a template. It just hit every model in the unit. So in the...
Fair and balanced.
Yeah, in the addition of Death Stars, it was God tier. Because you could snipe out wizards that were hiding in like super elite units. Oh. And if you didn't have a good target for that, the other option was you just spammed all the life spells on your Temple Guard Death Star. So they would be toughness 8 with a 4-up regen and if any of them died every magic phase, you could resurrect D6+1 models. It was not fun to play against. It was absolute horseshit.
For me, I think I could say a piece of war gear, and that's it. And everyone would know exactly, if they played in the edition, they know exactly what it is. No, you won't, but I want to see if people in chat get this. Gorgon chain. That's it. That's all you get.
Gorgon chain.
And I want to see if chat gets this before I explain.
All right, let's do another 1 or 2 super chats to give them time to
No.
No. Fuck you. No. Okay, explain to me what this Gorgon chain to stupid Iron Hand.
Okay, so let me explain to you the absolute bullshit that was 7th edition Warhammer. So this thing was called the Gorgon chain. The Gorgon chain was on a character that had a shield, thunderhammer, and now a 3-up invo save, and I think it was 3 or 4+ feel no pain. So any wound he took on a 3+, it's ignored. Okay? Now, a lot of people took him on a smash captain, which means a captain in jump pack. I went a bit further and beyond because I, at this time, was winning tournaments and trying to be that player that everyone hates.
Mm-hmm.
So I put him in a bike squad. Okay? And this was back in the edition where you could just soup all your stuff together. So I had him in a bike squad with an apothecary, which gave him the +1 to his feel no pain. And then I put Celestine in that unit of bikes. So Celestine can resurrect one model. It resurrected with war gear. So even after he died, he just came back to life. Oh. And then I had another character attached to the unit. And all of the bikes had grav guns because they were veterans on bikes and not just normal bikers. This Death Star was so powerful.
So I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm out.
I'm out. No, this was an actual thing. I would show this list to people and just be like, do you want to play the game? And they would say no.
That's
you won.
Funny. Oh my god.
It was not fun. But I did have another list in 7th edition that I do wish would come back. And I don't think it was as broken as... Okay, it was as broken. But I used to play Star Phantoms, a Space Marine chapter that specialized in Devastator squads. Devastator squads at the time, in a certain detachment that you took them, could take free transports. So you took usually the Razorback, but I took the drop pod because at the time the drop pod's doors counted as part of its model, which means you can't walk past it. So I had 7 squads of Devastators, all equipped with grav cannons, and I would deep strike 5 drop pods turn 1, zone out my opponents so that they couldn't move, and then shoot them with grav guns. It was such a fun game for me, and only me, because I was playing solitaire at that point.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah.
That I mean, I remember, so I didn't play the most overpowered army because I just loved Lizardmen. A lot of one of the most overpowered builds were Warriors of Chaos, because Demon Princes got absolutely obscene, or you had things where you could have a Chaos Lord with a 3-up ward save that rerolled on 1s, who just flew around on a disc of Zinch whacking things with a sword because he was literally impossible to kill. Unless you got just obscenely lucky. But let's grab a few more of these because we're falling behind on these. Blood Angel should have kept the flying dreadnought, says Stephen Lucas.
Yes. Okay. Hear me out on this. I think they should make a new dreadnought. One, I think the Castaferum, the old box dreadnought, should actually just be made into a bigger kit, and GW does not need to explain it. I don't care that it's now the size of the Redemptor Dreadnought. I do not give a fuck at all. Just still call it the Castaferum Dreadnought, and let's make a new Bjorn the Fell-Handed, Blood Angels Death Company Dreadnought. a Blood Angels Furioso Librarian Dreadnought. I want those back. And yes, I do want him to have either a jump pack on him. I don't care. 30k has a jump pack Dreadnought. 40k can have a jump pack Dreadnought. Doesn't need to make sense. We're here for the rule of cool. I want my flying Dreadnoughts back. I want the Furioso Librarian Dreadnought back.
I would love if they just had like not accurately sized, like just really tiny cherub metal wings that just allows them to fly.
Well, weirdly enough, the 30k one basically just has a jump pack, like a Space Marine jump pack on it.
That's so funny. Like honestly, the more stupid looking, the better. I mean, I still remember when the Tomb King's 8th edition book came out, the Necrosphinx. They have these big wings on their like arm side things. And in tabletop, when they originally came out, it gave them the hover rule so they could fly for 10 inches. And everyone was like, how? Like, they're not flapping. And it's like, they just can. They just can. And everyone was like, well, how?
It flies like a hummingbird.
Yeah. And so in Total War, I'll never forget when they announced they were doing the Tomb Kings. I like had a chat of like, are y'all like actually doing the tabletop rules? Because according to the actual tabletop rules, that thing's supposed to fly. And they were like, no. No, we're not doing that. It's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
So silly. Avani, Eldar. Oh no, we already did that earlier. Thank you again. Warrington Crescent. I maintain that the Tower 40k's take on history repeating. First as tragedy, and then as comedy, following the Imperium's example.
Yes, I think they're about to hit their downfall. They just need to expand a bit more because they're about to hit the dark point where they start revealing that they are psychically, they can become psychers. And I think that's the exact point that they are at because they're now being possessed by demons. They are now have knowledge of demons, and they have a greater demon / god, weak minor god that is their belief system. I do believe that they are about to have a massive civil war with each other. I think they are just going to go through a heresy. Like, I think
that'd be fun.
We're almost at it. And if GW has the balls to do that, it would be absolutely amazing because it would be cool to read it from like the Imperium's point of view, where they're just like, whoa, hold on, what's happening? Enclave versus Empire. Yes, that's what I want. And I think that Farsight is eventually going to get possessed by his Satan Phase Blade. By the way, that is a Necron weapon. And we've always known what it is. It is the
very fun.
His weapon is the first effect of the soul transference. So every time he kills something, it's transferring its soul into the pilot. The Necrons actually want that back.
Yeah, they're like, please return.
They don't know what the hell the Tau are.
Yeah. To Blam, is that an 8-star chaos tattoo? Can we trust this human? Nope, it's worse, actually.
It is so much worse. I have Slaanesh tattooed on one arm and the Mark of Slaanesh on the other.
Yeah, she's not suspicious at all.
No, I'm your total average, normal Imperial citizen. By the way, follow me into my ecstasy den.
Yeah, it's great. They have drinks and free cookies and everything. Super Orlock, I think that it's ridiculous to expect tabletop to be at the same power scale as the Lord when Mazda Mundi or the Lion can just show up. Those aren't normal orc boys. They're the ends of Hell's Reach boys.
Yeah. The when it comes to like trying to balance like a tabletop game versus the lore, we have to look at the 40k. Like 40k's lore can't be power scaled, and this is something that I will fight people to the death on. Because a lasgun is strong enough to pierce a mountain and go through it. A lasgun. Not a las cannon, a lasgun. Now, granted, that is in a really shitty book written by a really shitty writer that will
I was going to say, with that being a thing, I just imagine there being like a group of drunk Imperial Guard that like all aim their las cannons down and it just like shoots through the core of the planet, just destroys like the magnetic center of the world, kills everyone.
But like for instance, because there's a whole series on my channel about like historically accurate Warhammer and what it might look like and could it actually be functional, whether, and a lot of their aircrafts are surprisingly good.
Real quick, if you want, do be sure right now, especially or after the stream, that NornQueenAlexis's links are in the description, and you should check those out. You should really, because she has a lot of really cool stuff on there that's been up there for a good time. There's a lot of content you can delve into.
Yeah, I barely post nowadays, but I'm gonna post more. But if that's
the best thing about YouTube content, just keeps on trucking.
Yeah, but
Sorry, continue.
I talked to a military historian about this and everything, and we went through all of like the Imperial vehicles and everything, and whether or not they'd be functional and the weaponry and everything. The humble lasgun is probably the best fictional laser in existence. It's one of the strongest. It can punch through 3 inches. An inch of titanium, which is insane. Because it can go through, like, it can actually punch through Space Marine armor on maximal settings. And this appears in the lore, by the way. It actually appears in a Horus Heresy novel. 2 of them, to be honest, to be exact, I meant to say. The whole thing about Warhammer is that it's so inconsistent that they have the unreliable narrator. Like, no one in 40K that's talking to the viewer is being honest. They are talking as if they are in the setting. So to them, like, a lasgun could be super powerful, or it could be weak as hell. Like, 2 lasguns shooting a Space Marine could do nothing, or they could punch through them, depending on who the writer is or what is happening in the story. Warhammer's power scale, 40K specifically, is power scaled to being exactly what it needs to be at the time. And that's the best way to power scale it, because 1 ship could actually just shoot into a sun with a Nova cannon, blow up the entire sun, and kill trillions of people by blowing up the entire system.
Yeah, but then that wouldn't be any fun. Then you don't get all the blood and glory and everything.
Why doesn't? Hey, I want to destroy Terra. I have a ship called the Planet Killer. Just focus it on the sun.
Yeah,
shoot the sun.
I know, it's like there's a surprising lack of defenses on the 1 star that keeps Terra alive.
Yeah, there is literal like almost none. It's just like Planet Killer just ports in and has 1 shot, and if it dies, whatever. Planet Killer comes back from the dead. By the way, that's actually canon. It did come back from the dead. It could just shoot a star, blow it up, and this has been done. Like, this has been done in Battlefleet Gothic. They tested Planet Killer on the sun. It took a very long time, but it did destroy the sun and kill an entire sector. Then, Abaddon got the 3 Blackstone fortresses because they could one-shot the star. And that is in Battlefleet Gothic.
And then he was a goober and was like, no, we have to destroy Cadium manually. We can't just blow up the star with all these fortresses I've acquired.
But I forget which writer I was talking to about this. Warhammer can't make a good decision. If it makes a good decision, then you would start pointing out its the fallacies in its logic.
That's very true. Yeah.
Like, why can't the Imperium just ally with the Eldar? The Eldar pose no threat.
Yeah, and Super Orlok, I think this ties into that as well. Of like, yeah, if Warhammer lore was realistic, Lord Mazdamundi could just like figure out where a Skaven city is and just like snap his fingers and the city just blows up. Like, he could. The setting would completely collapse in on itself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Psychers in 40K can be as strong as they need to be for the time, or they're just explode. Like, a single Psyker in some stories, but it's in passing, can destroy an entire planet. A single Psyker. And they have special units to go after them, and then those special units get one shot by like a Space Marine. It's like, wait, but how?
Yeah, it's like, I think Age of Sigmar is the only setting that they've intentionally designed with it allows for the playpen of people having absolutely stupid horseshit levels of power, but it also makes it a lot harder for people to enjoy the setting that I've like met and introduced to it, because it's like, oh yeah, well the realms are like essentially infinite, and it's like, okay, well why do I care if it's infinite?
That's actually why I can't get into AOS lore, because it's just 40K.
Yeah, it's 40K, but even more ridiculous.
Yeah. Somebody did point this out in a comment I just saw, the celestial array of the Necrons. GW actually did answer that. Trazine stole that.
Of course he did.
Like
honestly, I feel like that could be their answer to every single one of those questions.
It is. Like,
oh yeah, Tracy stole it. Yeah.
He has a device that makes webway paths. And it's just chilling in his inventory. And he's just like, ha, neat. It brings me more joy to see these Terminators and these Drukhari try to fight over it. I've watched this battle like 10,000 times. It's great.
He's such a dork.
He stole that in a passing story in a codex.
I mean, that's classic GW, like answering a classic criticism about the lore in some like random passage.
It's like a random tidbit in a book somewhere.
Especially if they have like a timeline section. They love throwing weird shit where you'll like look and be like, wait, what?
I love looking at the way I view Warhammer 40k lore is I view it via different timelines, essentially. Like 2nd edition lore is not what 8th edition lore is not what 10th edition lore is. I usually go by their different genres within all that is Warhammer. So it's like, in 1st edition, Rogue Trader, Space Marines were just dudes. They could also be chicks. And they were just police. It was a whole setting made to like talk about Margaret Thatcher. And that was what they were raging against at the time. And there's several references to it throughout the history. And then it became an anti-fascist piece. And then it slowly went away from that, but still maintaining that story. But yeah.
Jason Bryden. One good lore / rules cohesion, one head scratcher. Makari's 2+ invulnerable.
Yeah.
But then we get Gazkul Mag Uruk Thraka, Prophet of the Wa, who souls bloodthirsters, and he has toughness 6.
Yep. Yeah. There is a slight mention to the fact that Makari isn't Makari. He is just a Makari, but he's also the Makari. And Makari is a character that keeps existing regardless of whether or not which grot it is. It's kind of like an inherited almost soul, because the Inquisition actually captured Makari and did a whole investigation on him. And Makari was talking fluent Gothic. And he was speaking in their language almost perfectly back to them. And he had information that would long since be past the life expectancy of himself. And we also know that Makari died when Gazgul sat on him, and then Makari came back. So Makari is a character that is always there by Gazgul's side. And it makes you think, is Makari the actual one in charge? But that's a whole conspiracy theory about Makari being a brain boy, but that's out there. That's me in theory territory. But anyway, Makari, having the 2-up invo save is because he's either replicating or
it's perpetual.
Yes.
That's very funny.
But Gazgul only being toughness 6 is because of a gameplay mechanic where the dudes that he joins is similar toughness or the same toughness, and it's easier for wound pools to go onto him.
We've talked a lot on this stream about like a lot of times where lore just fucks up the rules. But let's do you have some examples? I do, but I'll let you go first. Do you have some examples of when there's a lore accurate rule that makes the game better?
Sisters of Battle.
Expand.
The entire army. So Sisters of Battle have this miracle dice mechanic where they can do miracles. So if a sister unit dies, they gain a miracle point. And this is actually, I believe this is a reference to Ethereal Stern. When the sisters died, she became stronger because she was absorbing their souls, and thus her soul became stronger. As the sisters die, they become more and more connected to the Emperor, and thus can do miracles like, hey, I need this shot to hit no matter what while I'm running backwards and pull the trigger and it'll kill somebody. Or they bring somebody literally back to life because the Emperor needs them at that point. And the miracle dice system represents like one of my units was destroyed. I destroyed a unit or something else happens. I can't remember what the current Sister Battle rules is. But essentially, if they at the beginning of the turn, they gain it. And if a unit dies, they gain it. And they gain a miracle dice pool, and they can use those numbers for anything in the game. You can only use 1 per unit on per phase, depending on which order you take. I think Sacred Rose can use 2. Martyred Lady gets stronger as they get wounded, which is a reference to their faith becoming stronger as they're dying. And it is really cool because it's not only is it the lore itself backing the army actually feels like Sisters of Battle, where they're doing these miracles, and it's super cool because you can like discard a miracle dice and guarantee a wound on something, and it's like the Emperor himself guiding their blade. There's a Palatine whose ability is like, I could discard 3 miracle dice, get super strong, and deal a ton of mortal wounds. I'm going to keep going like this because that's a sword motion.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I think we can suss that out.
Yep. You never know. Somebody might think I'm trying to hit like a fly.
You never know.
But like, I think the Sisters of Battle and Demons especially fit the lore to tabletop as well as they can be.
Yeah,
and it also, like somebody pointed out, it encourages to play to sacrifice just the way the sisters do, because they martyr themselves all the time. Like Sisters of Battle are crazy. In fact, I would argue that Sisters of Battle are the second strongest faction in all of Warhammer.
Okay. Fair. Okay. I think that's a great example. Yeah, I also agree with Salter here. That for the dwarfs in Warhammer Fantasy, the rule of pride is the most Dawi rule ever, but also makes you think out your army better, not just copy paste. So for those unaware, the rule of pride is that a dwarf runesmith will never create the same combination of runes more than once. So in your tabletop army, it means that no characters can have a repeating set of runes. So you can't like make the most optimal rune build and give it to every single character, because once you've done it once, it's already been made. It can't be repeated. And it does, I agree, like not only because it's a lore justification for a tabletop restriction. And I think that's a great way to use lore of like, well, you're not able to. So like a good example would be, this actually isn't the case anymore, but in 8th edition Tomb Kings, there was a rule where you could not take a Tomb King or a Tomb Prince on a horse. And the reason for it, which would have been nice if you could have stuck them in a cavalry unit or, had a like nice cheap mount. But the lore justification was that from their cultural perspective, they viewed horses to be the beasts of Geheb, who is the god of the earth. And they saw them as like these lowly beasts of dirt and covered in dust and everything. And so no noble-blooded Nehekaran would ever touch them because it was beneath them.
And now we have them riding horses.
Yeah, and now we do. And Total War did as well. So Games Workshop clearly looked at that and either forgot or just decided they didn't care. Which is fine.
I think it was the limitation of the horse at the time. Like their sculpts.
It was. What it actually was is they didn't want to make a mini. They only had minis for characters on chariots, and they didn't want to make new ones. So they came up with a lore bullshit reason. But it was cool at the time. I've been preparing to get into the new Age of Sigmar edition, which I haven't had much time to play around with, but I got my new Night Haunt book because I love Night Haunt, the big gold spooky ghost faction, because I love their minis.
I like how the green screen.
Yeah, the green screens. It's a real ghost book when part of the book is see through. But one of the rules they introduced is there's a character they introduced called the Scriptor Mortis, who in his original rule set sucked because his rules were a little too lore accurate, where the idea is he's basically like, he has the death note. It's literally a guy with a palanquin. He's got a book, and if he writes your name in the book and he finishes writing how you die, you die. Like that's the whole gimmick.
So it's a death note.
Yeah, it's literally just a death note. And the in the original rule set, it was okay. You would like pick a character and you'd roll a dice for them every turn. There was a chance they would take damage, and this is whatever. But in the new rules, they made it super fun, because what it is now is that he writes how someone's going to die, and as long as he's alive and still writing about them, he's still writing his fanfic. They take
and then they both kiss, and then they die.
Yeah, exactly. It gives the rule, the unit that he's targeting, a sentenced rule or debuff, which makes it where all Night Haunt are better at killing them. But they made a combo with it with another character called the Lord Executioner, which is like a big hangman type looking dude, or executioner with like a big axe or whatever. And what they did is they combined the two of them to make a lore story, which is that if you run both of them together, and you have someone sentenced, and then a Lord Executioner does a wound to them, at the end of the turn, the Lord Executioner gets to roll a dice, and if he gets a 4+, the thing that has been sentenced instantly dies, regardless
Just
of any
like
saves
my
it has.
hopes and dreams.
Yeah. But it requires like a fairly elaborate set of circumstances. Because first, like the Script of Mortis has to target them, he has to sentence them on a 2+. The Lord Executioner has to get in combat with them, and he has to deal at least 1 wound and then roll a 4+. So like it's not easy to get, but it's an insta kill, which is fun, and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
One of the more ridiculous versions would actually probably be like the fucking Nagash's rule, which Nagash has had this since AOS First Edition. They kept it as a legacy rule, which is his Hand of Dust, which is the scariest gamba, which is that if Nagash is in combat with you, he can do a rule where he rolls a dice, and I think it's on actually, it used to be a spell. Now I think it's just an ability. So if Nagash is in combat with you, he goes, Hand of Dust, and you go, what's that? And he takes a dice and he hides it. The player hides it either underneath one of 2 cups or in one of their hands. And they say, pick a hand. And if you get the hand with the dice, nothing happens. If you get the hand that doesn't have the dice, whoever he Hand of Dusted instantly dies.
Oh, that's...
Because he's the god of death, and fuck you.
I hate and love it.
Yeah, it's a very goofy rule. All right. Looking for. Okay, I just saw this comment a little bit back, and I'm so morbidly curious that I have to pull it up. So, okay. Gamer Jam goes, I got a question. Do you have hope for humanity? And I'm so curious. Are you talking about like in general? Or are we talking about like a specific setting? Like, are we talking about 40K, or are we talking about like IRL? Because like I would say
I am trying.
Well, yeah, let's say 40K for the sake of keeping things on task here. Do you have hope for humanity in 40K?
No, not at all. There is no humanity in 40K. They have no like morals to be better.
Ooh, spicy.
Well, this is the setting. Like they,
I agree, but carry on.
They torment themselves. They torment themselves. They're a death cult. They worship this being that does not care about them and only cares about the future of humanity, but only in his way. And he will not take criticism from anybody, including his wife and his best friend, who might also be his partner. Depending on whether or not you read into what Constantine Valdor really, not Constantine Valdor, what's the guy that he's a DC character that's written into Warhammer for some reason. I can't remember his name.
No, I don't know.
But the Emperor himself is just a massive dick. Like, just a massive dick. And the only one that actually can stomach him for the longest times are John Grammaticus. Thank you. The only ones that actually care about him for some reason is Malkador, who undermines him at any opportunity that he can get. Like, oh, we don't need an Inquisition, builds an Inquisition. We don't need faith, saves the living saint. We don't need this imperial religion, saves the imperial religion. Saves it. Tries to. Yeah, even tries to save Abaddon.
Like, all right, these are the 5 things we can't do, and Malkador's like, bet.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, the Empire by itself is just the worst thing. It is America chopped up to like 100. At this rate, it used to be 1,000, but now it's probably like 100.
That's fair. That's
but
very fair.
It is, you are worked to death. Your ancestors are put into internment camps based on what you did. You can go to prison for witnessing a crime. Depending on who you run into, even being a good person in 40K means you're going to die a horrible, painful death. And that is the setting, because it's a mockery of fascism, because it's all of the worst decisions that you can make. They don't care about each other. They care about, like, Yeah, and if you're like a mutant, an abhuman, a psyker, or slightly different, weirdly enough, it does not have the Imperium as sexist, which is weird because that would be just the easiest way to say why there's no female Space Marines. Just be like, Space Marines are sexist, and it would be done.
You don't like their, oh, well, this is a completely bullshit sci-fi setting, except girls can't be muscles.
Girls have the cootie gene and can't become Space Marines.
The Emperor just did not want daughters under any circumstances, apparently, whatsoever.
Even though Celestine might actually be his daughter, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
and we know that
women have a good time around here.
We know that women can be Space Marines because the not the Orlocks, who are the big muscle guys from Necromunda. They're big muscle women, and they're proto Space Marines because they have like a few of the implants, and they make them.
Only men will receive the Emperor's seed. Yeah,
classic. That is an actual line, though.
Yeah.
Like,
we all know the Emperor was just a big horn dog. That was the true reality.
Goliath, House Goliath. They are the older lore for them states that they might be like something along the lines of some of the implants from Space Marines that were left back on the planet that they managed to take and then make the Goliaths out of. And there's female Goliaths that are huge and can wield heavy bolters like they're nothing. So we know that they could exist. It's just GW doesn't want to do it. Like, that's the real reason. They don't want to do it.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Like, I think it's fine. I like the idea that Space Marines are just, massive hypocrites. Like, we need thousands of recruits. Are you going to do blood tests? No. We're just going to shove body parts in them and hope they live. By the way, that's
are we going to have like any kind of like empirical testing system that'll make this reliable? Nah.
Are we going to use like anesthesia or anything? No. If they're awake, they're a man.
So, okay. We are coming up on time here. So at this point, I want to say if there's anybody in the chat that has any kind of last minute questions when it comes to rules reacting with the tabletop game. So if like
there is one comment I want to point out real quick.
I'm disappointed because I know it's not going to be the gay harem one, but carry on.
I can't click it. You have to click it. It's
who said it?
Ricardo.
This one.
Yeah.
He says, I disagree with that take. Yeah, the Imperium is absolutely awful, but just as there are a million worlds of war, there's another million where you will never see war in our civilized worlds.
There is only a million worlds that the Imperium controls, and all of them are at war or are in the warlike system. And even the peaceful paradise worlds are geared towards war. There is no escape from the war. There is only war, and that is a consistent in every edition. There is only war.
Yeah, that is literally the tagline.
Yep. And you will not be missed.
And you will not be missed. Yeah. Also, very classic tagline.
Yep.
She said the thing. Yeah. All right. Once again, I'm going to give y'all like literally just these last couple of minutes. While we're doing that, Alexis, do you want to tell people kind of like what you got going on, where they can find you online, all those kinds of little self-promotion-y thingy-majiggers?
I do the YouTube sometimes. And I have a TikTok where I post like Viking stuff where like I have my shield, sword. I'm a spear fighter. I do Viking reenactment over there, and then I post a whole bunch of miniatures. I just did a 10K point game, and I'm posting a few videos about that.
A 10K point game is like, that's insane. Yes, so many points.
It took us 2 days, and I was annoyed that all of my Tyranids weren't painted. I had 2 models not painted, and I was mad.
Yeah,
I was so mad.
At that point, like, what's even the point, right?
I know.
Because for anyone that doesn't know, like 2K points is like a full-sized army generally, and that's like multi-hour.
Oh, and it was 10K both sides. It was a 20K point game.
Yeah, so that's like horrific levels of points.
Yeah, it was fun. The Hierophant lived. I was playing Tyranids versus Chaos Demons, and the Hierophant lived until the very end of turn 5 and then died.
Oh.
I was so sad. I sent in the Norn emissary to save him, and he still died, and I was,
Victor does ask, do you have any feelings about the old world?
I fucking love it. I love it. I think it's a great game. I think it's a great system.
Yeah, I need to start playing. I have like this really nice app that lets me play it online, and I have to get caught up with 1.5 because I completely missed 1.5.
Yeah.
I don't know how the rules have changed.
But yeah, I play a lot of 40k. I have 19 armies currently.
Morning Crescent, do you have any favorite rules for how Tyranid rules in lore interact with one another?
Oh my god, the Shadow of the Warp. That rule is absolutely...
That's a good pick.
Beautiful, because it is just... I look at the table and I just go, fear. And just spread a wave of fear across the entire thing. And I'm just like, get off my objectives. And I just walk up and take them. And it really feels like the Tyranids are doing their final gambit and just like, I'm here.
Limper, don't do it. Just play Tabletop Simulator. It's fine. Just don't do it.
No, play the tabletop game. Be awesome. Enjoy life.
Yeah.
Play some games with people in real life. Have really fun stories. And then, yeah.
Ricardo asks, do you happen to remember the codex or place where the orrery stolen comment was dropped by GW?
No, I don't. I know it's a Trazine quote, and it's somewhere. I could probably find it given time.
Cool. If anyone, are you on any socials as far as like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter?
I'm just on... I have a Twitter, but I don't use it because it's Twitter.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do have a Blue Sky. I don't use it because I don't like it.
Fair.
It is just YouTube.
Is your Discord community open to new folks?
At the moment, no. Mostly because I don't look at Discord. I'm going to be real. I don't look at my Discord.
Just keep a lookout for when she comes on next, I guess.
I'm so bad at social media.
Fair. Honestly, it's probably a lot healthier for you, to be frank. Salter,
No,
combining Monday Lorebeards and today, why should Viking dwarfs use spears? Oh, the Norscan dwarfs.
Oh! Can I actually show this real quick?
Sure. I don't know what this is, but sure.
Quick, so I can't hear anything. So.
I'm half expecting her to like pull out dwarf minis with spears,
yes,
but
it's a long spear.
Oh.
It is long. It is very long.
She's showing her spear.
If you are a dwarf, you are low to ground. You raise spear and kill anything that comes in. Spear good at stabbing, low center of gravity, and spear is amazing.
It's not dwarf-like though. Well, it's not what my ancestors used, so if my ancestors didn't need it, I don't need it, says the dwarf.
Kovu.
Good
but
Kovu.
Yes.
Yeah, the dice goblin. I'm familiar with him.
Yes. But dwarves should be using spears and polearms and pikes. Like a dwarf should be using like a huge pike because they have the weight for it. Don't you scratch my spear, my shield. Stop it. Hey. Thank you. But they should be using as long of weapons as they have because they have the reach for it. And then in melee, they should actually be
when Imperial dwarfs have shields. All right, let's get that right.
But yeah, there's no reason for them to be wielding.
No,
shields.
literally, the only reason they don't use spears is because GW decided that it doesn't look dwarfy enough. That's it. that's the only actual reason.
I think it's also because Tolkien didn't use spears on his dwarves.
That could be the case. I don't know enough about Lord of the Rings. Like, I know they do in the movies, but I don't know how that might not reflect
remember
the actual stuff. But
Tolkien did. Okay, never mind. I was wrong about that then.
I don't know if I'm a dwarf pick between spear and flamethrower. I picked flamethrower. To be fair, the flamethrower was a relatively recent invention. Yes, the Dawizar do use them in Age of Sigmar, which clearly is showing that only the most evil of dwarfs use spears.
Look, if I was a dwarf, I'd be using a spear.
Yeah. I mean, there are arguments. They give lore reasons why they don't, and some of it has most of it is cultural, and some of it is that spears are genuinely. If you're doing tunnel warfare, spears introduce a lot of problems. But if you're fighting in the open, they're great.
Do you know what's really good in a tunnel? A sharp, pointy stick that's 3 meters away from you.
Yes, but most of what they're fighting are going to be tunneling in from around you. Skaven and Greenskins like to come up from around and behind and all this stuff.
I see why they have the flamethrowers then.
Yeah, you got to be able to turn around quick. But in any event, that's our time for today.
Yeah, that was
so I hope you all had a good time, and I hope you all enjoyed. Please thank Alexis for taking the time to come hang out with us. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of her in the near future. In fact, you might be seeing her very soon with me and Andy. I think next week, but we've got to lock that in.
I did see one thing real quick, because somebody said dwarves and axes. Can I show the Dane axe?
Yeah, absolutely. Get your axe. Get it, girl.
1 second.
She's like, I gotta show off why no one would dare be a home invader.
Dane axe.
Well, see, okay, if you're gonna have an axe that long, dwarves basically have spears at that point, right? If you just have a great axe or a Dane axe that's that long, you basically have a spear. See, as far as I'm concerned, with an axe that long, they basically already have spears.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just, yeah. Many of it. Never break into Alexis's house. Yeah, no.
Oh, please break into my house.
Give her an excuse. Just give her an excuse.
I have 2 swords over there too.
Yeah. And once again, we really appreciate y'all showing up and supporting and all that stuff. I'm actually going to be doing another stream here in about 2 hours where I'm just going to be playing Total War. If you want to catch me on my Loremaster of Sotek channel, I won't be on the Lorebeards channel because it's just Loremaster of Sotek stuff. But Lorebeards will be back on Saturday morning for the bonus stream where me and Andy are going to basically be doing a stream where we revisit everyone's favorite criticisms. So if there's something we've ever said on Lorebeards that you think is bullshit and you want to argue with us about it,
no real criticism.
Then that is going to be the perfect stream to show up for. And Mantis, good to see you. Pole arm taxonomy is somehow messier than sword taxonomy. Yep. Humans doing their things. But that's going to be it. Alexis will be back sometime soon, and if you have any ideas for things you'd like to see us do with Alexis after you've gotten to kind of see her,
hold on, make sure you
40K things that you would like to see her talk about. God, you're just as bad as Andy. Then feel free to do that, and we will see you all next. I mean, she did, so clearly she can. We will see you all next time. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.